Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 212 of Salvaggio and Cratty here for you again on another Wednesday night, 6:58 p.m. Lots to talk about, all four sports. I get this little distracting thing out of the way on the live stream screen on my left. All four sports. Start with football, do some hockey, some basketball, and some baseball. Of course, the Celtics started up last night and won. Got their rings and the banner raised. And the World Series starts Friday night. So it won't just be football and hockey with all the usual stuff there. We got a little more. So basketball season is back, and we are wrapping up the MLB season. So before we get into it, of course, as always, Ryan, how are you doing on this Wednesday night?
Not too bad. Celtics are back, obviously, like you said, and thank God they are back because things are looking kind of bleak with the rest of, at least for the Patriots' sake. I don't know how you feel about the Bruins, but I feel like there is some developing, I don't know if problems are the right word, but there are some things to talk about with this team. And then baseball could go a very bad direction by the time the World Series ends. Of course, there is a certain day that we have yet to celebrate when it comes to the baseball world. Hopefully it gets celebrated soon, but the way the Yankees have played, I'm not too sure about that. But we'll keep it at that for now. We're not going to jump to any conclusions or anything, or hope for one team over the other when it comes to the World Series.
Yeah, we'll see if that day gets celebrated. I'm so confident it does. But
Okay, that's good.
yeah, at least that's something. At least that's something we got
True.
here on this side of the fence. So, geez, a lot of stuff popping up on the live stream screen right now. It distracted me. Studs and duds, Ryan. I will defer to you first as always to start us off.
Very, very difficult to find studs this week in a game you lose 32-16, a game you probably should have won over in London, or at least you were probably, I don't know if the world picked you to win, but you and I definitely picked them to win this game. Because the Jaguars, I feel like, kind of came in. We talked about it last week, and the same boat the Patriots came in. Not looking too good, or maybe some talks of a coach firing, or maybe not a mutiny like we may be seeing here with New England. But Jacksonville was not in a good way, and the Patriots now have become the get-right game for a lot of teams. If you can't run the football, you can run against the Patriots. If you can't pass, you can pass against the Patriots. They're in disarray. Very tough to find studs this week. Surprisingly, I'm sticking on one side of the ball for all three of my studs, starting with number 3, JaMychal Hasty. 5 receptions, 5 targets, 49 yards. Had, of course, the nice touchdown play. Also had 2 rushes that went in the wrong direction for -2 yards, but we're not going to touch on that in the stud side of the list. Hasty, his touchdown was nice shiftiness there, and that's really it. Not much else to say about JaMychal Hasty. Didn't want to spend too much time on him, but just wanted to give some flowers where they were due because I thought Hasty, in a game where there were a lot of turds, he looked pretty decent.
Yeah, he did, and even dating back to the preseason, he's anytime he's got the ball, he's shown good speed. So I'll take that alone from a third string running back. Some speed, and of course, when you can catch all 5 of your targets and get in the end zone, that works too. My number 3 still was Kyle Duggar, who had 9 tackles, 2 assisted tackles, and 11 total and a pass deflection. Very clearly one of the better, if not the best guy on defense. So I thought that was worth highlighting. Um, and yeah, that's really that simple. Honestly, with Kyle Duggar, don't have too much else to add.
Fair enough. I don't have anything else to add either. Thought he played really well, and like you said, probably was one of the very few standouts, if not the number one standout on the defensive side of the ball this week. My number 2 stud, Hunter Henry, you have him as yours, I believe, as well. Hunter Henry, pretty automatic in this game. Looked like the Hunter Henry of old. 8 receptions, 9 targets, 92 yards. Had a couple of really nice catches over the middle. Of course, that one you remember is the one that I don't know if it hit him in the hands and he juggled it or hit him in the face and he juggled it, but had a contested catch where he had to really fight for it. Like I said, looked like the old Hunter Henry. And as we're going to talk about later, it seems like every receiver on this team, not named Kayshon Boutte and Kendrick Bourne, from a personality standpoint, his production has not been great since coming back. But every wide receiver on this team seemingly is starting to become a problem. So it's nice to see Hunter Henry kind of build some rapport with Drake May. As we expected him to do, this was kind of the guy that we were thinking that Drake May would lean on pretty heavily in his first couple games. Nice to see Henry break out here after a couple of quiet ones so far this year.
Yeah, and I agree. My number 2 stud as well, like you said. And a guy I think most fans, even though things are bleak, should like probably have some hope that this can become a consistent thing because he's the veteran. He hasn't all throughout been Hunter Henry of LA Chargers days and maybe San Diego. I don't know if it was that far back. When did they become LA? I don't know. I'm just rambling. This just showing you a glimpse showed you a glimpse of him being the main guy for Drake May, which is fine. Demario Douglas has done a lot too, namely against the Texans so far since Drake came in. And yeah, you should expect this from Hunter Henry, and he was a guy that even after the uh the toughness of the team was called into question, that like he handled things well with the media today. Just a guy you'd expect to do that. Seems like a pretty level-headed guy, smart guy.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, look, is he gonna have 92 yards every game? But no, I'm penciling him in for probably 5 to 6 targets a game, and a good amount of yards. So, um, groundwork was further set here, and I'm excited to see where this connection goes because Drake will need a guy like Hunter Henry, a veteran presence, to throw to because the rest of the group is pretty young overall, outside
Mhm.
of a few, and
And they are
in
spiraling,
disarray.
to say
In
the
disarray.
least.
So
Yeah,
it's good to have a guy you can hope to be a constant and expect to be a constant unless you're on the more pessimistic side, which is reasonable.
for sure.
Maybe not so pessimistic about Hunter Henry because I'm certainly not. I
Yeah, I'm
like
not
that
either.
connection.
And
I like where it's budding and where it's going. So
absolutely. I'm right there with you. And speaking of, things to not be pessimistic about, probably the biggest one on this team, Drake May, the consensus #1 overall stud for you and I. When he was able to throw the ball in this game, because there was about a 2-quarter stretch where either it was Alex Van Pelt's decision, Gerard Mayo's decision, whatever it was, they just decided to not have Drake May throw the ball downfield for whatever reason, and it cost the Patriots. But when he did, he was very good. 26 for 37, 2 touchdowns on 276 yards, 2 sacks. Again, not going to knock him for the sacks too much because it is a product of the situation. 109.7 quarterback rating, 3 rushes and 18 yards. And the problem with this Patriots team is those 3 rushes and those 18 yards led the Patriots when it came to rushing yards. That's a huge problem. But again, not going to knock Drake May for the situation he is in. Was very good. Cut down on the turnovers. Had a couple of bad throws in this game that could have been picked. But we talked about it last week. You kind of expect that with him at this point. Obviously got lucky to get away with a couple of them, but overall was very good. And is really becoming the only reason to watch this Patriots team if you can still stomach watching this team. Because, like I said, they've become pretty unlikable with some of these guys mouthing off, and Drake May has handled the situation very well. He's been very professional in the first couple games and has taken some of the blame, which, I mean, you're going to do as a starting quarterback. I find it a little surprising that, some of these things he's saying after games, so like it seems like he's maybe taking a little too much of the blame, in my opinion, or wants to take it himself. But Drake May was excellent in this game. And I feel like you feel the same way as, like I said, he is also your #1 stud.
yeah, he was really good overall. The almost interception he threw directed Andre Cisco was rough. Polk slipping on the 2-point conversion, and May, maybe this isn't as much on May. I'm putting more of it on Polk, of course. Um, you know, May did throw it to the guy falling over too, but
True.
I don't
Yep.
know really if he had anything left. I don't know if he was gonna look cross body and look back at somebody or try and run it in. I don't know if that was ever an option, but yeah, like I can look past those things a little bit. And really a lot, honestly, in this game when he was given the free reign to, he was just comfortable, like
Mhm.
really comfortable. Um, the cobwebs, not like cobwebs, but rookie jitters, if there were any, which there are for like any rookie pretty much, they're gone to
Yeah, they
me.
don't seem to
Like
be there anymore for sure.
he looks composed. He was making good throws. He wasn't I didn't see much overcomplication. I thought his throws were clean.
Mhm.
It was really encouraging. Like, not that I had any doubts really about Drake May, but like to see him look as effective as he did, even though the Jaguars aren't the best team. Um, he gave the Patriots as much of a chance to win as he could have, and he didn't throw any picks. He really should have on the
Mhm.
Cisco pass, but
Yeah, that was
it's
bad.
it's
You're right.
nice to get bailed out there. But he was really good, like really, really good. And this is a bright light in a dark season.
Yep.
And man, was it nice to see. They should have got the win for him. Man, was it nice to see though. And he was just giving us a glimpse of the future here, which was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he did enough to win this game. Again, I think the 2 quarters were taken completely out of his hands. The defense has completely spiraled backwards, and as we know, the pass catchers are kind of doing their own thing right now, outside of maybe Kayshon Boutte, who he seems to have that deep down the sideline ball down with. So that's great to see. Like we talked
Yeah.
about with Hunter Henry, building some rapport there. If you can get
The
Kayshon Boutte
main
going in the right direction, like that's obviously a plus as well.
the main annoying thing was, like, sure, you have to run the ball at times, but like they're running the ball when Drake is passing so well, and the Jaguars' run defense was randomly really good. I don't know how. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe they were decent coming into this game, but like that's
I don't
not
think so.
a unit I come in and I see like, oh my god, like the Jaguars' run defense doesn't really surprise me. They're doing good. Like I would have been cool if Drake made through the ball 46 times in this game. Truly, like the running wasn't working. Ramondre had 7 carries for 18 yards. JaMycal Hasty was only catching passes. The run game, he had -2 yards.
Yep,
And I don't
Gibson
even
didn't
know
do
what
anything.
Gibson had at the top of my head. I think he had like 20, 30 yards or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like
I think it
it
was like
gets to a
3 and
point where
15.
you're desperate. Like you're trying to win this game. And sure, eliminating some of those runs and turning them into passes doesn't win you the game probably, but it gives you a better chance. You're moving
Yep.
down the field a little faster. Maybe one of those plays, those would have been passing plays could have been a deep ball that connects. We've seen Drake already connect on the deep ball before. I don't know. It just you're not gonna pass the ball every time, but I'm like, oh my god, at the same time, like running the ball is not working. It's
Nope. And
not working.
I was
Oh,
I was way too generous. Antonio Gibson finished that game with 3 carries and 4 total yards. So not a good game from him.
Why did
But
I
on your
think I
point,
saw like
because
20, 30?
yeah, I don't know why I said the same kind of in the same boat, but I'm glad you brought up the point of that just kind of running it up the middle because sitting there watching it with my dad, same thing. We're like, okay, running the ball up the middle, I'm with you. Like you're not going to throw the ball 50 times with a rookie quarterback. And that's obviously going to make you more predictable if you do that. But if you're going to run the ball, change it up. Like running it right up the middle to get smacked right at the line and maybe gain a yard, or in most of the cases, definitely JaMycal Hasty's case, gain no yards. Change it up. Like I know your tackles haven't played great, but like swing it to the outside, do something. Um, like you said, the run game just wasn't working, and just the idiocy to go back to it was mind blowing.
Yeah,
Especially when your
really
quarterback played
puzzling.
as well as he did, like you said.
Yeah, it's just a bummer that things really changed in the tenor of the game after the Parker Washington kick return, which is
Return, yep.
fucking embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Like just horrible tackling, horrible like managing of open space. Like Bryce Behringer had the best chance of making a tackle.
Yeah.
That should never be the
Like I
case.
texted you, he did
Like
everything
what
on
the
that play.
fuck?
Punted it within the 5 yard line, and then like I said to you, I'm like, if I was him, I'd be pissed. I punt the ball within the 5 yard line, and then I'm the last guy at defense to make a tackle, and
He
that's
should be the
obviously
guy
not
like
gonna
to
happen.
me or the
Like,
guy in like a hockey locker room and he just goes around and like he slaps every player in the face. Like
yeah,
he should do
yeah.
that to everyone that was on special teams in that play, on that kickoff.
Rightfully
Like
deserved.
that's when the game changed. Like I still had faith in Drake, but like that was a bad omen, and it turned out to deliver on that feeling of being a bad omen.
Mm-hmm.
They lost. They got doubled up, 32-16, and this game at least should have been much closer. And it's a team you should beat. Like they're getting called soft now, reasonably, and it's not because of the quarterback.
No, not at all. But sticking with the bad, if you want to jump to the dud side of things, my number
Yeah,
3 dud. Jelani Tavai did have 7 tackles in this game, but I don't know, maybe it was just the couple times I saw it. Like I feel like he was getting run by most of this game. There were a lot of the times he was like blocked into the ground, pretty much like not a strong game for him at all. And I feel like he's kind of been trending this way for a while. Like he is not putting up, and again, this is like not a knock towards Gotcha because Gotcha's had a good year, but in years prior, I feel like he's doing the Godshaw role of like kind of coming out, but you don't really notice him. I mean, Tavai obviously has more tackles from a linebacker position, so you're going to see, more stats in the box score. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like these last couple games, it's getting worse for Tavai, which obviously stinks because he was one of their better linebackers and one of their more dependable defenders last year. But Tavai has not looked good these last couple games, at least in my opinion. In this game, like I said, 7 tackles, but really didn't notice him out there for any plays other than, like I said, getting run by or run over. It seemed like a lot of this game.
I did not notice that as much as you, but I'll take your word for it. I
Okay.
wanted to find the name of the. I think they brought in another linebacker. Speaking, it was like Kayshawn Baker or
Oh yeah,
something
someone
from
from
the
was the
Packers.
Packers today. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really notice that as much about Tobias. Maybe my brain was just focused on the disappointment of the team and I just tuned that out. I don't
Fair.
know. I didn't see it as much, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
Demontre Jacobs is my number 3 dud. 4 hurries allowed, a poorly timed late holding penalty. 3:58 left in the fourth quarter. They're down 25-16. Then May gets sacked by Trayvon Walker after that. Maybe kills some momentum. Jags call a timeout. May tries to find Henry, incomplete, and then Tank Bigsby scores very quickly on the next drive. Just bad timing. I thought he had another penalty too. I looked through the whole thing, the game report, and I couldn't find it. So maybe I was misremembering there, but this one was just really poorly timed. Also, letting a 4 hurries is not good. Yeah, Demontre Jacobs unfortunately finds himself in the dud section again, but not number one this time.
That's true. I was gonna say he's a main staple on this list, but at least for his sake, he's moving down the board. So that's maybe a positive for Demontre Jacobs. I'm going to imagine it's probably not the last time he finds the duds list though, unless the Patriots just do something miraculously with this offensive line. But again, unless they cut him too, that's true. That might do him a favor at that point. One guy that is continuing to find the duds list that's starting to concern me a little bit. I don't know if you feel the same way. Christian Gonzalez, and I said this watching the game Sunday again with my dad. I'm like, it's kind of funny that he's been able to shut down the likes of Tyreek Hill, and AJ Brown a couple years ago. But these last couple of games, Stephon Diggs, obviously not a slouch, but I would take those other two receivers I named over him. And obviously Brian Thomas Jr. is a great young up-and-coming wide receiver, but maybe a guy you should give the edge to Gonzalez to from the experience level. And again, being able to shut down some of these other, bigger name guys, but not the case in this game. Gonzalez, 5 tackles, allowed all 3 passes his way to be completed for 71 yards, allowed a 2-point conversion as well for the Jaguars. Obviously, he allowed the big bomb downfield to Thomas Jr. He's taken a step back these last 2 weeks, and it's a little concerning. I don't know if it's maybe a focus thing with him, because it's definitely not a skill thing. Well, obviously, we've seen him at the top of his game. So these last couple of games, maybe he's just hit not a rookie wall, obviously, but like a sophomore slump type of thing. Or where are you at with Christian Gonzalez? Because you have him as your number 2 dud as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's a wall or a slump. I think it's just him being human. Like, I think this was kind of bound to happen, unfortunately. We know, Thomas is a rookie, but anybody who knows anything about him knows how productive he was in college and what his potential is. I didn't really have a problem with the coverage towards the end. I do think he is a little slow keeping up earlier on in the route, because of course it's a very deep route. There's a lot of progression there, and battling for separation. But yeah, I think that little bit of a hot step that Thomas got in him at one point really cooked that whole thing, and then 2-point conversion stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm really not worried at all about Gonzalez. This is obviously unfortunate, but I just don't have any concerns about it. But he definitely belongs in the dud territory this time. Hopefully it turns around, because he's got an opportunity to redeem himself. I'm sure the letting up his first touchdown to Garrett Wilson from a few weeks ago is on his mind, and I'm sure he'd like to do what he's done to the likes of AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill and other names in the past in terms of shutting them down to Garrett Wilson as a little bit of revenge, because we know Mike Onwenu does not like the Jets. He made that clear today to the media. So maybe more so Garrett Wilson, but I bet Christian Gonzalez would like a little revenge game, and it's been a tough stretch for him. And we know how tremendously talented he can be. So it's unfortunate that he's here, and that he, had these mishaps, but I'm confident that he will bounce back.
All right, as am I. So you were not worried about him. You were not worried about this guy last week we talked about. And I'm curious if your tone has changed with what has come out, how he has played, and how he has looked. You mentioned him earlier falling flat on his face. That was just one of the many problems that Jalen Polk had in this game and has had this season. 34 snaps played on Sunday morning, 57% of the snaps. And once again, threw a goose egg up there. 0 catches, not 8 catches. That would have been nice. 0 catches, 3 targets. Had 2 more drops in this game. Kind of tough play, so there are people that want to give him kind of a little bit of a benefit of the doubt there. But when you've had the season he has had so far, people are going to look at that and they're going to say, okay, you had 2 more balls hit you in the hands, you dropped them. And then, as you said, completely fell on his face on the 2-point conversion. Again, people want to make the case that the field was slippery and the weather conditions weren't great. You can make that case. But again, when you're talking as much as Jalen Polk is talking, and you're going against what your head coach says, as we talked about last week when Gerard Mayo says maybe it's a mental thing, and Polk says, no, it's not a mental thing, I'm good. Goes on to say, he has the best hands in the NFL, and then couldn't catch a ball to save his life these last couple of weeks. Where are you at on him? Because again, he's your number 1 dud. He is mine as well. And for me, really quick, I have had enough of Jalen Polk. I'd like to see him sat down in this game, just from keep your mouth shut thing. Because again, we're going to touch on it in a second. He also jumped on board with a lot of the wide receivers and some comments after this game or an Instagram post after this game. What are your thoughts on Jalen Polk? Have you soured on him from last week to this week?
Yeah, I have a little bit.
Okay.
I hate the cryptic social media shit. I
As
hate
do
it
I.
so much. Um, Look, the peace sign could have been like, "Hey, we're leaving London." Haha, peace. I
True.
don't know if it was. I
I
kind of doubt
I
that.
doubt it was.
Um, he talks about having the best hands in the league. He talks about like beginning of the season, how we're gonna prove the league wrong, our receiver core. Um, he's not doing any
You
of
are
that.
proving them very right.
Like it's it sucks for a guy that I was like pretty damn comfortable with
Mhm.
um coming into this year. And Drake May is still too, which is great. And you expect him to say stuff like that. Um, it is mental for Jalen Polk. He didn't
Absolutely
maybe
is
he
happening.
realizes that now, but it is mental. It's there's something going on there. And he is a rookie, so you hope it can be fixed. But he sucks. He flat out sucks right now. That is apparent and it needs to be fixed. I am not out on Jalen Polk. I will continue to get closer if this continues to happen. And honestly, I'm not optimistic about him doing anything against the Jets. To be honest, I'm
Well,
really
he's got
not right now.
the concussion now too, so that
Yeah,
might be something
so he
obviously
might
something to
not
keep
even
an
have
eye
a
on too. Might
chance
not
to.
even play, so
Like, if he can play, I don't want him to, because
I'm right there
the
with you.
last thing you need is to force him into a game coming out of concussion protocol, and then he gets hurt even worse,
Hmm.
and then
Then you're really screwed.
that's a
Yeah.
whole can of worms. Um, Yeah, I don't know. Like he's got some work to do. And
Hmm.
it's really frustrating because it was a big thing coming into this year, like the young receivers of Drake May. What they can start to build. Javon Baker hasn't got that chance. Maybe he will. Maybe he will if they trade a certain receiver or two. But um right now, like it's Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte, and Hunter Henry. Jalen Polk needs to work himself into that mix because Kendrick Bourne isn't doing a lot either. But you can expect Kendrick Bourne to maybe uptick some production because
You
of
would
how
hope,
long
yeah.
he's been and the known commodity factor. Jalen Polk, his role is in danger, and it might not be a long term thing. I doubt they want it to be. It's second round pick. Um, but like he needs to figure it the fuck out because it's bad, and now he's hurt.
Yeah, it's not great. And like I texted, I think I was texting you on Sunday about it, bringing it up because you brought up Baker, and like you said, it's probably going to be a case where Polk sits because of the concussion, so you're not going to have a decision to make if you're Gerard Mayo. But like it should, if he does clear concussion protocol before this game, it's such an easy decision to make. Like I texted you, if you're going to bench Baker and come out and say like he doesn't know how to run routes and needs to make himself more NFL prepared. Like if that's you have a problem with that, how do you not have a problem with your receiver not being able to catch the ball? So
The
like
guy
if
that
you have
claims
a
he has awesome hands.
exactly a guy that's done nothing but talk since coming to this league and has done literally nothing to back it up. Um, like that's an easy one for me. You sit Polk down. I don't know how much we want to recap all that. We can just jump right in here. Because you and I have kind of both in agreement here that things are teetering and not in a good way. You mentioned it earlier. Gerard Mayo kicked this whole thing off by calling a team soft. Which really quick because some people have talked about this back and forth. Obviously, Devin McCourty has had his thoughts on the Sunday Night Football broadcast. Bill Belichick obviously was on the Pat McAfee show and had his thoughts about, it's basically the same team as last year. So to call guys soft, they're not soft. Kind of a shot, from Bill Belichick, or not kind of, definitely a shot from Bill
Also, not
Belichick.
entirely true from Bill.
True, there's some guys that are hurt this
Missing
year that
pieces
weren't. Yeah, missing
right
pieces. I think
now
it's
for sure,
it. I
but
think it's just Bill
I
trying to
think his
take a
point is
victory lap.
I think his point is strong, but
Mhm.
that was
Like
worth
I kind of
mentioning.
trailed off there, but the question I wanted to ask you is just overall your thoughts on that comment from Mayo because it has rubbed some people the wrong way of what are you doing calling out the team for being soft. Other people have been like that's great because they are soft. You need to kind of shed some light on that. Obviously, like you said, players have talked about it today, and so far this week. So where are you at on just Mayo choosing this game to come out and kind of take that approach to call the team soft?
I think it goes against Elliot Wolf's comments of a less of a hard ass vibe from the offseason a little bit, which is
For
funny that
sure.
people have
Yep.
pointed out. He's right. I think that an interesting perspective on it is David Andrews talking on his pod, Quick Snap pod. If you're a player, it should piss you off, right? And that's good. It pissed me off, and I'm not even playing. Like, all right, now go out there and prove it. Go out there and take that. You know, when Dante or Bill or whoever used to get onto me, Josh, it's almost like an fu. All right, watch this. Not like an fu. It's disrespectful. But like, tell me I can do something, or tell me I can't do something, or tell me this, and I'll prove you wrong. I understand both sides of the fence, but he's the head coach, and I don't think he told a lie as a whole. That was not good. They ran the ball. We couldn't run the ball. They did good on punts. I think that sums it up pretty well. Like, it's just out about how you respond. Moping and bitching and coming out with low energy is going to do nothing for you in a positive manner. So if you want to show that you are an NFL professional, go out and respond, because you are playing a divisional game. Mike Onwenu seems to want to fire up the team by saying fuck him to the Jets. He doesn't like them. Play with some fucking intensity, because there was none of it. And I was talking to my friends about this. The Bruins did their best impression of that last night, playing with no fucking energy, no fucking toughness. Besides Mark Kastelik, who beat the shit out of Luke Shen, which is not easy to do. Fucking respond. It's that simple. Like, you come out with structure in week 1, and then it completely melts. It melts away.
Falling apart since week 1, yeah, for sure.
Regain your form. And hey, speaking of David Andrews, maybe this is partially because he's hurt, and you don't have him involved as much because he's fucking hurt. You need someone else to step up. Maybe that's what Mike Onwenu's trying to do. I'm looking at guys like Kendrick Bourne. I'm looking at Dietrich Wise. I'm looking at Kyle Duggar, and anyone else has been around. Maybe Jelani Tavai, who we were talking about earlier. Like, the veterans need to step up. They need to reel this in. And if we see pissing and moaning and complaining and Instagram stories and bullshit, piss poor play and low energy, like, it's time to fucking end the Mayo regime during the season, because it's fucking cooked. If they can't figure it out in a divisional game or against fucking Tennessee and Will Levis, whose brain is mush, or Mason Rudolph, they'll never figure it out, and they'll probably not win another game. So
it's gonna be tough. So then, in that case, you
for draft position, but not fine for the sake of ownership, for the fans, and for all the stuff that ownership cares about in terms of making money.
So in that case, are you calling for a Gerard Mayo firing halfway through the season? Okay,
yes, it won't happen.
All right,
because Kraft cares so much about his image now. I don't think he'll fire Mayo mid-season.
Handpicked coach, yeah, he's not going to fire him anytime soon.
My thing, and I was talking to some friends about this today. If this isn't figured out by the Tennessee game, it's never getting figured out, because the Jets are tough, like, tough defense. They might get Reddick back too, which is sick fucking timing. Didn't know if that was ever going to get done. That game could be close. You lose, you win. Maybe the Jets show up and Aaron Rodgers says fuck you and beat you by 14. And now he has Devontae Adams, who he didn't have last time he played him. But the Patriots have Drake May instead of Jacoby Brissett on the other side of the field. And then if you can't figure it out against Tennessee,
that's a good barometer game for sure.
And get a coach in there that can, like, establish something in the late portion of this season. Or maybe, you wait until the offseason, you try and pluck Ben Johnson away from the Lions.
Detroit.
I don't know. It's bad. I want them to, and I think part of me thinks they would fire Mayo. The larger part of me thinks they would wait to the offseason. So I want Mayo gone. I'm already done with this. And that can change a little bit if they really do respond and look a little more structured, or a lot more structured. That'd be great too. I don't know. I already don't like this staff is putting a sour taste in my mouth, and thank God we have Drake May.
For sure,
make that clear too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, there's part of me that wants to give Mayo the benefit of the doubt. Like, first year, you're not in a great situation.
One more thing too. Like, every time they show him on the broadcast, he doesn't look confident. He has bad body language. He has a frown on his face. Like, dude,
he was asked about that today.
Team. Do it during the game. At least, like, show some emotion. It's just like every time it's like.
He was asked about that today, and he gave kind of a weird answer of, like, I can't remember exactly what the the question was, or who, it might have been Mike Reese that asked it, but basically kind of along the lines of that, like, have you thought to kind of get more into the game, like show some emotion pretty much? And he kind of was like, oh, I talked to I'm flipping through channels on the headset, talking to the coordinators and, talking to guys on the sideline. I'm like, yeah, but like I'm with the rest of the people. I'd like to see you get fired up in these moments, maybe lay into a Jalen Polk if he keeps dropping the ball or running a wrong route here or there or some of these other things. Mayo, it's a weird spot for me for Mayo because like I want to give the guy at least a year to obviously again was put into a really shitty situation with really nothing in place except the quarterback. But on the other side, like I'm not going to read McCourty's whole thing. People have heard it, but like I kind of agree with Devin McCourty's at where like okay, if Mayo wants to call out people for being soft, like where does that start? It starts with the head coach and like not, and we've talked about this for numerous weeks now, not getting guys prepared. Again, I'm not going to run down all the comments. People have heard them by now. But the Kendrick Bourne stuff about guys, basically it seems like not being ready to go on Sunday morning, knowing we have a 9:30 game and you have guys, eating whatever they want, drinking whatever they want, kind of makes you wonder about Demario Douglas, who left the game with an illness. Like, what was he doing the night before? Like, people can read into that between the lines. You have Equality calling guys out for basically being like, check your ego at the door. And guys think too highly of themselves. Like, I put that on the coaching staff and Mayo for, not maybe putting some checks and balances on some of these guys to, again, kind of, you haven't proven it if it's some of these young guys, maybe like a Polk or, KJ Osborne who hasn't done anything here, but, maybe thinks so highly of himself that his agent has to put out a fucking paragraph on Instagram, basically like kissing the guy's ass for being the, the greatest thing since sliced bread because he played a different position than he's used to. Like
the whole
that, seeing that pissed me off.
Weird.
Yeah,
that situation's weird.
Completely weird dynamic.
Too.
Then he basically comes out today and is like, "I want to be traded." Was asked, are you looking to be traded here? And he basically is like, "Oh yeah, it is." What kind of hit the nail on the head there. Whatever. I can't remember what exactly his exact comment was, but yeah, it was something stupid where like just give an answer or just kind of like next question it. But he's annoying the crap out of me because he hasn't done anything. And then again, you get, oh, you're some hero for going. Learning the night before that you're actually going to play in this game and, having one catch or whatever it was for a touchdown. Yeah. Congratulations. Like that's aggravating to me. The Polk stuff, we've said enough as is with that. I'm with you. The Instagram crap pisses me off to no end. Like, and again, that feeds into, if he's going to come out and give the cryptic peace out thing, you're soft. Like if you're pissed off with the situation, come out and say it.
It is mental. It is mental.
Exactly. It's completely mental with him. So that's why, again, like you sit him down, but it is.
I was talking to you earlier about Booty,
and
I kind of love Booty's approach. Not completely, but he said, we all know I got sidelined after the first game, Eagles with Bill Belichick. I kind of just sat down with Coach Mayo and stuff. And I was just like, I refuse to go the same shit I did last year. That's just being blunt.
That part I like. Yep.
Like maybe don't do that, but like I kind of like it.
I
can see the dissenting opinion against that. Then he says he had to ask for both deep shots when he was targeted, which he was targeted on the past 2 weeks, which he knows shouldn't have to happen given he hasn't dropped the pass this year.
That I don't like.
I do and I don't though. Like he's clearly delivering.
Right. Yep.
On his
his
confidence in himself. Like that's a guy to me with that type of approach that I'm like, if this team wants to not be soft, that guy is a guy that could have been cut
to take, yeah.
Catches Drake May's first touchdown pass and is clearly like wanting to assert himself and just be honest. I like that. I like this from Kayshon Boutte. And man, has he had a weird last few years. Yep. But like he's clearly confident in himself. So I like that.
Like I said, there's bits in like you said, we were talking about this earlier. There's bits and pieces I like. I like the first comment because I kind of think it shows that like I'm never gonna play like I did last year to put myself in a position where you're gonna take like
a rookie. He was
exactly
his first game.
True. That's kind of also look at it in the sense of like you really hadn't proven anything, so there's a reason why you were on the bench. But like I like that to kind of be like I'm never gonna put myself in a position to where you're gonna even consider taking me out of the lineup. So that I like. But on the flip side, like you said, I don't hate, but I don't like him going to the coaches and basically being like, throw me the ball downfield. Kind of obviously you like it because you're like, all right, he has some confidence in himself, like you said. But then, like I told you earlier, the part at the end where it's like, because I haven't dropped a pass yet, it's like, all right, like we know, the coaching staff knows that, like they know the stats that you don't have to be reminded.
I don't know.
I hope, well, maybe with how dumb this coaching staff looks at times, you might be right, but that would kind of irk me of like, dude, take a step back. We know you've been good for us. We got all these other idiots mouthing off over here. We don't need to deal with you doing it too. Just continue to play football and play it as well as you have, so we don't have to have another problem on our hands later on down the line. But I don't know. Like I wish guys would take not Bourne's not that Bourne called anybody out, but like you said, you want to look to a guy to be a veteran and be a leader. Like we need more guys to take the Kendrick Bourne approach. Go out and do your business. Obviously, he hasn't done anything this year. You kind of give him the benefit of the doubt coming back from an injury. And you'd like to see more from Kendrick Bourne, obviously, but it's such just a bad spot they're in. It seems like there is just infighting everywhere across the line. And like you said, maybe there is something to Mayo not lasting the entire year. Because I think Greg Bedard had that the other day. He had an interesting comment on Felber Maz where he kind of said that like there may be rumblings within the organization that Mayo doesn't last the whole year, which would be interesting. But I'm kind of on the same side you are.
There was a report that like the Kirk Minahan show, apparently they said he's gone in like the next 2 days.
Yeah, I heard that earlier today
is that
too.
What Kirk said?
I think so, yeah. But I'm with you. I think.
See. I mean, we just literally have to wait for the next 2 days. So.
Exactly. Who knows? Our luck, it might drop right after we get out of here.
Yeah, who knows?
But on that note, I'm with you. Like, I don't think that Kraft, like you said, because of the image thing, he wouldn't fire him. It would be such a bad look with all we heard about, how Kraft handpicked him to be the next guy. If he turns on him not even halfway through the season, like that's not going to be a good look for Robert Kraft. And as we know, that's what he cares about. So
the other angle, the image thing too, that's also acknowledging in a way that firing Bill was a fuck up.
Wrong decision. Yeah. Yep.
They hate each other. I think that's safe to say. It's not like a full public blowout yet, but like becoming pretty clear more and more with time.
You can
they
tell,
don't like each other.
Yep.
That relationship soured. And man, like
no, Bill's taking his victory lap now for sure, which like I don't necessarily agree with.
Ideally, you have Ben Johnson as an option. The way this is going, even if they like win a couple more games, you have to really consider firing Mayo if you win with you win 1 game or 3 games, or maybe you get to 4. I think 4 is probably the max, and that's feeling pretty lofty. You do wonder. It's going to be fun to see now with Bill becoming more public about criticizing the Patriots where he ends up. If Brian Dable were to come back, see what happens, but could happen. But I think, maybe Brian Dable was OC. I don't know if they'd want to bring him as head coach, but yeah, it's not good. There needs to be a collective effort to play tougher and be more prepared for a divisional match. They're not expected to be a good team, but like I think they'd like to beat the Jets once.
You would think, yeah, especially at home.
They have a quarterback better equipped to help them do that, even though he's facing a team with a decent pass rush. Pretty more than decent pass rush. Drake May made some mistakes, but did okay against Houston. And, we'll see what happens against the Jets. We'll segue us perfectly into the Jets, who the Patriots play this weekend. Opened at 6.5 point favorites. They're now 7.5. The over-under is 41.5. First look at Devontae Adams in a Jets uniform for the Patriots. First look at Drake May for the Jets. Patriots still quite bad in everything offensively. We're not going to go through all those again. The Jets, the big thing for them on defense is they don't allow much through the air. They have the second best pass yards allowed on average at 164.7, and total yards allowed, they're 7th best at 292.4. They're good passing on offense. Their run game really hasn't been, which is weird because people were very high on Breece Hall. I was a little skeptical. Makes me, a little minor win for me. And they got the youngest player in the league in Braylon Allen. But they're not a huge running threat, but they probably will be against the Patriots, knowing how bad the run defense has been lately. Yeah, we'll see if this is a team we expected to have Sauce Gardner as a premier guy, but like Sauce Gardner really isn't.
He hasn't done a whole lot, yeah.
But he's still a guy where I'm still in the mindset he could turn it on this game. So you got to find ways to work around him potentially. Whitehead has games. Reed has games. Jordan Reed, DJ Reed, I think. Yeah. I was mixing up Jordan Whitehead and DJ Reed's name for a second there. Jordan Reed is the former Washington Redskins tight end that got 85 concussions. I don't know what he's doing nowadays. There's a formula to beat this team. I am like kind of on the fence, but we'll see where it goes. We know the deal. With Rodgers, Wilson, Brees Hall, but now Devontae Adams, of course, in the mix. This could be a game where he starts to really shine, depending on who. If they can match him up with Jonathan Jones, he should have a pretty good game. But you'd hope Christian Gonzalez can neutralize him a little bit. But of course, we know Christian Gonzalez will get a dose of Garrett Wilson as well. Was had a solid season. And yeah, that's really the offensive side of the ball. Like, how are you looking at this? Are you expecting a big game on the ground? Like, maybe we can see a huge Brees Hall breakout game, or like, how are you sizing up this offense for the Jets looking into this game? Because after a poor showing with the run defense, I am worried about Brees Hall doing what he is capable of.
As am I, but that goes back into the like. I don't want to spoil my pick for this game, but like I really I don't know why I'm leaning in the direction of I think the Patriots are going to take the soft comments to heart from Gerard Mayo, and obviously a lot of people have talked about toughness comes with stopping the run. So you hope this is a game where they finally figure it out. Obviously, the Jets have not looked like you said looked great when it comes to the talent that they have in the backfield. I think if you have Brees Hall and Braylon Allen, you should be able to run the ball pretty well. But I think last game was really the first big game that Hall broke out, and it really didn't even matter because they still got destroyed by the Steelers. I said it earlier, like the Patriots are a get right game for a lot of positions. Running back seems to be the case. So, maybe Brees Hall breaks out here, but I don't know. Like I part of me is holding out hope the Patriots can find a way to figure out right some of their wrongs. And obviously, as we know, Aaron Rodgers is just an old man at this point. At the quarterback position, he's not doing anything to light the world on fire. Obviously, we saw 3 catches on 9 targets for Devontae Adams, so it's not like he really made a difference last week. I don't know. It's such a weird game to pick because a lot of people I feel like are gonna pick the Jets in a runaway here, but I don't know. I think both these teams come in, limping into this game, not playing great football, and have their own problems and to each their own. But I don't know. I really do not know what to expect from this Patriots game because I think it's gonna go one to two ways. Either they're gonna bounce back and they're gonna hear the soft comments and be able to prove something, or if they really are soft, which very well could be the case, they crumble in this game and they lose by 30 points. Because they just come out and say, you know what, fuck you, we're done. We're not going to take the soft comments, and we'd rather
which would do so much for them. Positively.
Absolutely, we'd rather f around on Instagram and request trades in the most cryptic ways, like KJ Osborne. So who knows?
Yeah.
Like I said,
allegedly.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
it's such a cop out, but I really realistically do not know what to expect from this game.
Yeah, it's a very much on the fence game. I feel like for us, which is what I expected. I feel like we'd probably be in the same camp. Maybe part of the reason I mixed up names is because I was thinking in the back of my mind that Jordan Whitehead might not be on the Jets anymore. I made a mistake. He went back to the Bucks. I was wondering that. I was like, Jordan Whitehead. I don't know if he's actually still there. So I just checked. He is. My apologies. But they do still have DJ Reed, who is good. Onto the defensive side of the ball, Will McDonald, the fourth, has really broken out. He's got 8 sacks. We know what Quentin Williams is capable of. He might be hurt. I don't know. I don't have the injury report right in front of me.
I'll look it up for you.
Not sure. Don't quote me on that. Quincy Williams has been productive. Jamie and Sherwood has 62 tackles already. That's kind of nuts. We know what DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner can do. They picked up Javon Kinlaw. They have a good defensive unit, and maybe Hassan Reddick will play, which is frightening. Even though he has not played a game this season, we know what Hassan Reddick is capable of. So
Quincy Williams is listed today as a limited participant in practice with a neck injury.
Quincy or Quinnen? They got double Q Williams.
Did you say Quinn or did you say Quincy? Quincy is on the injury report. Quinnen is nowhere to be found. Okay.
All right. I didn't feel fully confident saying that, but part of me in my brain was like, wait, I think Quinnen Williams might be hurt, but he's not. Yeah, this game shouldn't be won with tons of points due to, although Drake May is talented, he is playing another tough defense that is really good against the pass. But I think he'll be able to make some plays. So we'll see how many. Yeah, we talked a lot about Gonzo. We'll see who he gets more of. It's probably going to be Garrett Wilson. We'll see if they don't want to play soft. We'll see if Dietrich Wise does something. I'm looking for him to, have one of those games where he does something. And yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Raekwon McMillan.
We'll see. Will we have a back-to-back starting combination being the same on the offensive line? That's something to wonder.
That's something to keep an eye on for the rest of the year. Is how many offensive lines combinations they can come up with.
Yep. Yeah, they might set the record. I forget what the tweet was. They might set the record for most in a season. I have them losing in annoying fashion, 20-17 to the Jets.
My comment was going to be talking about things maybe to watch. I said maybe, from a toughness factor, I was going to say maybe Raekwon McMillan takes his, what was it, like one drive benching to heart last week, because that was kind of something that irked me too about Gerard Mayo. And that was kind of the other thing I was going to maybe look out for in this Jets game, is if there will be any changes, because obviously last week going into the game, Mayo said, we're going to maybe look to make some personnel changes. And I think the one thing he did was put Christian Ellis as a starting linebacker, and Raekwon McMillan sat for like a drive, and then he was right back out there playing. So like I said, maybe obviously the concussion stuff with Polk will be a big factor, but maybe you see some Tyquan Thornton in this game. Not that I'm hoping to, because we know he stinks. But maybe just a change of pace. Maybe Javon Baker gets out of the doghouse. Again, if you can knock a guy for not knowing how to run routes, you should definitely be able to knock a guy for not knowing how to catch the football. So that's kind of where I'm at. Maybe see some actual changes that maybe have some merit, and maybe, some guys, as Aquale said, maybe stop feeling too high on themselves. And maybe you get a different result. Either way, my pick for this game was going to be disgusting. I couldn't, for whatever reason, bring myself to pick the Jets. So I am surprisingly taking the Patriots here, 16-13. Again,
We're back to 16-13. It is returned.
Yeah, it's such a gross football score. But you mentioned it earlier. There are some differences in this game. Obviously, the Jets have Devontae Adams, but as we know from that early season game, Jacoby Brissett just could not keep up with Aaron Rodgers in that game. I think Drake May is obviously going to be able to move the ball better than Brissett did in that game. I mean, they only scored 3 points in the last game, so he really didn't move the ball that great. I think he goes toe for toe with Rodgers. Like I said, Rodgers is not playing great football right now. He's making dumb mistakes. Like, he's good for at least one or two really stupid turnovers or interceptions, so maybe the Patriots get lucky there. They find a way to win this game. I think maybe they come out with a little bit of, juice under them with all the comments that have been made and all the talk that's going on. They want to right the ship a little bit. And for 1 week, maybe get a little bit of a moral victory here. Take advantage of a team that's probably not playing as badly as the Patriots, but definitely in just as bad as a spot of kind of not knowing what their identity is and, what direction the season's going in.
It's a wonder that they're having trouble with identity when they have a quarterback who's a fucking asshole.
Yep. Like I said, I love that he brings in his best buddy, and it changed absolutely nothing.
And someone took the opportunity, as I imagine multiple people did, to say they're one Randall Cobb away from putting this all together. Yep. So, which was, that was a layup. So whoever did that, I don't
absolutely
remember.
Yeah. Kudos to them.
Yeah, but we project a gross game here, as a lot of games with the Patriots should be. Let's go back to recapping a little bit. Broncos 33, Saints 10 on Thursday. Yeah, I mean, the Saints looked bad without their two top receivers and their starting quarterback still. And they got smoked. So, yeah, that's pretty bad for them. Things are spiraling.
Yep, couldn't tell you why I picked the Saints to win this game.
They started hot. Don't know why you picked the Saints.
You said it at the time.
Like, I didn't call you dumb, but I was like, come on, Ryan. Nope. Like, you can't be doing this. Yeah, it was a hot start, and it is come crashing down for the Saints, who I hope one person listened and took the under 7.5 win total for the Saints, because it's looking good right now. Chris Olave is questionable, so he could be back. Rashid Shaheed is done for the season. We found out Alvin Kamara is playing through a broken hand and broken ribs, so that's crazy.
Nice, that's good.
Don't know how you play through broken ribs as a running back, but I'm not a running back, so I guess that's that. Yeah, the Saints got trounced, and they suck. And the Broncos maybe don't suck, but like they also played Saints who suck, so we'll see how they do against the next good team they face. I don't know.
Not really a measuring stick game for anything. I mean, this was the Javonte Williams game, and that was pretty much it. And this was a game I jinxed myself because my dad and I have him for the fantasy league I'm running for him, and he asked right before this game started, yeah, we're not going to start Javonte Williams. I'm like, no, the guy fumbled last week. He had like 4 points. Why would you start Javonte Williams? And he had one of the best games of his NFL career. So made me eat my words right then and there. Hopefully for Broncos, obviously you like the win, but to see Javonte Williams get going, because it's been an up and down season for him, that obviously would help that offense a lot. And maybe get Courtland Sutton involved, because he had the what's the meme, the like all cardio game or whatever it is, where he had 0 catches and 0 targets, and probably I don't know how many routes he ended up running, but kind of a weird stat line there for a wide receiver they lean pretty heavily on at times.
Yeah, that's the Broncos, and it didn't matter because the Saints are bad. A game that wasn't forgettable was Lions and Vikings. Give us quite a game. Um, 31 for the Lions, 29 for the opposing Vikings. They are no longer undefeated. Andrew Van Ginkel continues to be excellent for them. Jahmyr Gibbs was great. David Montgomery, cursed by a friend of the program, Mike McCullen, got hurt, but he came back, which was nice because I love watching him play. Um, it's got to be nice for Detroit fans to see their defense make plays even without Aiden Hutchinson.
Absolutely. Yep.
This was a thoroughly entertaining football game due to capped off by Jake Bates hitting a game-winning kick. And I believe this is the game. Yeah, the Vikings had a touchdown called back at one point, so that was pretty big momentum shift for the Lions, who ended up taking the win. And Amon-Ra looked like Amon-Ra caught all 8 of his targets for 112 yards and a touchdown. And we got a thoroughly entertaining football game. Jared Goff is playing very, very good lately. He is throwing more
MVP
touchdown passes, I
consideration?
think, than incompletions, I think, in the past 3-4 weeks.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, he's right in the MVP race big time right now. Because a certain guy that might be in there, Baker Mayfield, had moments, but has been throwing lots of picks lately.
Yes, he has, and that just got a whole lot harder
Baker
for
Mayfield
him.
listening to this 50 Cent, what do you say, fuck me for meme,
Yeah,
as
exactly.
we're talking about the Lions and Vikings game.
Well, Baker Mayfield's got a lot of problems right now. Things are not looking great in Tampa Bay.
No. We'll talk about them later. But good, important win for the Lions. Lions,
Yeah,
Vikings,
for sure. I mean,
one of many.
If you're a Vikings fan, you take a moral victory from this because Aaron Jones obviously came back, looked good, had that nice rushing touchdown right out of the gate. Finished 14-93 in a touchdown, had 3 catches as well. So good to see him come back healthy. I don't even think he's on the injury report this week for them, so that's obviously a plus for the Vikings. For the Lions, like you said, it's just more of the same. They're big guys. Gibbs and Amon-Ra get it done. Goff, like we said, is an MVP consideration right now. And I'm with you. The big thing for me is the defense really didn't skip a beat without Aiden Hutchinson. 4 sacks, a pick, and kind of made it tough on Sam Darnold for most of that day.
Yes, I think a loss was bound to come for the Vikings, but I think
absolutely.
fans should still be pretty happy with things overall.
Yeah.
Andrew Van Ginkel's been an awesome fit for that defense, and a huge contributor. Same with Jonathan Bernard. Not as much, but I think Jonathan Bernard was nice to pick up for them. Losing Daniel Hunter, they essentially just swapped him with the Vikings and the Texans there. The Battle of the Birds, the Seahawks come out quite victorious, win 34-14. Kenneth Walker doesn't really celebrate the touchdown that counts, but he celebrated the touchdown that didn't count more, which was kind of funny. DK Metcalf gets carted off, but he did get a touchdown. He's week to week, as you've noted here. Defense racked up quite the game for Seattle. And it's not like the offense was non-existent for the skill players on Atlanta, but it wasn't even close to enough.
Yeah, again, kind of the theme of like moral victories. Bijan had another nice game. He's really starting to come into his own. Drake London, and obviously the big one, Kyle Pitts, is looking like he's going to provide something for that team, so that's good. But Seahawks, obviously overall, much better in this game. And like you said, the big concern for them moving forward is DK's injury. Obviously, have Smith and Jigba and Lockett that can hold it down for them. Kenneth Walker's been one of the best running backs in football since coming back from his injury. But it'd be interesting to see how much the DK injury kind of hampers them as the season goes on.
Yeah. Thank God for their sake. They drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba a few years ago because they'd be pretty screwed right now if they didn't. Titans and Bills. The Bills, I said, were going to, should put up 35 plus points in this game last week. Of course, they scored 34. Bills looked great. Ray Davis continues to look awesome. I really enjoyed watching him. Unfortunately, he happens to be on a team that I dislike. Keon Coleman was excellent. Amari Cooper gets in the end zone. Khalil Shakir was great. Kincaid, as you have noted here, it was a very well-rounded offensive showing for the Bills, and they thoroughly pissed on the Titans, who I believe were up 10-0 to start the game.
Were they really?
And I'm pretty sure they were, and the Bills scored 34 unanswered points. I feel relatively confident about that one.
I feel like that happens a lot to the Bills. Like, kind of come out sluggish against a team they should hammer and then end up,
they struggled in that Cardinals game earlier.
That's what I mean.
Too. Yeah. Like Mason Rudolph wasn't horrible, but wasn't really great either. So, that's kind of what you expect. I guess with Mason Rudolph, maybe you expect worse. I don't know. I'm kind of just like, yeah, he's Mason Rudolph. This was a game that went down as it should have.
Absolutely.
And the Titans got pissed on.
Yep. And the biggest thing from it was unfortunately we have no Will Levis meme to discuss this week, so I think we should just keep. I don't know if he's playing this week or not, but if he is, let's just keep the predictions we had from last week. I think he's going to jump crotch first into the goalpost. What did you have, if you remember?
Picked up like a bowling ball and bowled
That's right.
across the
Yep,
field.
and bold. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll
So
put those on the records and see who's
who are they
right.
playing this week? They are playing the
It's
Lions.
Somebody, yeah,
so
it's somebody that should kick the
guy
crap
who
out
got
of him.
the payday. I picked a D tackle last time at Oliver. I'll pick the guy that got the payday a few weeks ago, Lee McNeil, to do it. For the Lions to Will Levis if he plays. Bengals and Browns got off to an explosive start. Charlie Jones with the kick return touchdown. A kick return touchdown I enjoyed watching much more than the bullshit Parker Washington one against the Patriots.
Nope.
That was awesome. And Sean Watson, hate to see this, ruptured his Achilles. And maybe not in the fashion we wanted it to happen. Maybe he just gets benched. That would also be funny. I did say also kind of, gave up, what I was hinting at there.
Gotta ask, what's your thoughts on the situation?
I was kind of jumping around it.
Yep.
We have Jameis Winston now. Yes. 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 It would be awesome if they started winning a bunch of games now.
You're not holding out hope for Billy Zappi to come in and give him some Zappi fever?
No.
Okay, neither am I.
Jameis has arrived in Cleveland. They lose 21-14, and man, I'm excited to watch Jameis.
I was gonna say Jameis, who was not a happy camper at the Browns fans' reactions. Neither was Myles Garrett. Have any thoughts on, obviously there's a part of me that never roots for injuries, but there's also another part of me that's like, I don't know how much sympathy I want to give to Deshaun Watson.
No, don't want to give him any sympathy, guy.
All right, we're in agreement there then.
I wonder if Myles Garrett gets traded.
Ooh. A lot of names flying around, so maybe not out of the realm of possibility. They are not very good.
They could get a lot for Myles Garrett. What about the Lions?
Imagine that. You lose Aiden Hutchinson and then just say, we'll just replace him with Myles Garrett. It's okay.
The cap is fake, so they can make the money work if they need to next year. Aiden Hutchinson and fucking Myles Garrett, and you get Garrett to replace Aiden Hutchinson. Dan Campbell, style-wise, would love Myles Garrett, too. I don't know. I wonder about that. I wonder. We'll see how Jameis can revitalize things. It was cool to see Nick Chubb get in the end zone. Only 2 yards per carry, but he does get in the end zone. I love Nick Chubb. And David Njoku had 14 targets, so maybe that's a sign of things to come for him. An explosion on the stat sheet. And Cedric Tillman, probably the best game of his career, a third rounder a few years ago, makes a nice little appearance for the Browns, but it was all about some key touchdowns from the big boys, Higgins and Chase, and the Bengals get an important win in the division.
Yes, they do. Not much else to add to this game.
Not much else. This was a painful game for bettors, I think, because the line was 2.5 on the Packers and Texans, if I remember correctly. And man, would this have been frustrating for Packers fans, because Brandon McManus got iced with a late timeout on the first game-winning kick, but then made the second one, the redo. And pretty good game here. I enjoyed watching this one. CJ Stroud's really got fucked up by the defense and just not making as many plays as CJ Stroud does, which led to poor showings from Tank Dell, who had no catches, and Stephon Diggs, who had 5, but only for 23 yards. The Packers are real. If you needed this to solidify it, sure, that's fine. But I think they've been proving that lately, and they do it again with the win over the Texans. I enjoyed this game. We'll see how long this lasts for the Packers, if they're really going to be a Super Bowl contender. But impressive win for the Packers.
Yeah, so I'm in a weird spot with them because I don't want to say they're a sneaky, dangerous team, because I mean we talk about them again. You look at the stat line, we put the stat line in here. No Christian Watson on this. He didn't do anything notable in this game. I think he might have had 1 catch for 2 yards. Romeo Doubs had another nice game, but he really wasn't the focal point in this. Jaden Reed didn't do a whole lot in this game. And it was another week of Wicks, goes for 3 catches, 48 yards, and a touchdown. Tucker Kraft has kind of come on as one of the top guys in that offense. And Josh Jacobs, I think, made history, got his first receiving touchdown of his career. So, again, it's just I said it last week not to be, because when people talk about, a who's who, it's usually in a negative connotation, but it really is a who's who on offense. Like, it would not surprise me if next or this upcoming week, can't remember who the Packers are playing, but like maybe this is the week Wicks does nothing and Kraft doesn't have any catches, and you look up and Jaden Reed's got a
Yeah.
stat line from a couple weeks ago of like 6 catches for 50 yards, a couple of rushing touchdowns, and Christian Watson finds the end zone again. Like, I don't know how. I'm saying this every week. I really don't know how you game plan for this
No.
Packers offense, because there's
Tough.
just so many, again, not well known names, but so many weapons on this offense that it's got to be tough going into it.
Oh, it is. They are a nightmare to game plan for, and by design. One thing though is Joe Mixon had 2 touchdowns and 115 rushing yards. So that is one thing to fix for the Packers. This next game stunk. Anthony Richardson stunk. Besides on the ground, I guess he amassed 56 yards, but he did fumble. Tyreek Hill claims it's over because Tua might come back, which is dumb. But he claims he's going to be back for fantasy reasons, essentially
I hope
just
so.
saying his quarterback sucks. So that's cool,
Yeah,
Tyreek.
that's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
Yep.
like let's be honest here.
You're wrong though. Like,
No, he's not wrong, but maybe things turn around for the Dolphins. Maybe it's too little, too late. But this game sucked, and I have nothing on it. I did not care about this game, and I don't think anyone should have.
right there with you. Watching fantasy football or caring about my fantasy team stopped when I saw this game and saw that Tyreek Hill had one rush at halftime and no catches. I'm like, I'm done. I'm already down like 50 points. I don't even care about the way this is going today. So,
Yeah, I didn't care about Eagles Giants at all. I don't know if I watched more than 30 seconds of this game.
I don't think I watched any seconds of this game. Another bad pick on my sheet, though, picking the Giants to win this game. I really thought
Yeah,
they'd
another
come
one
out
I was
and,
confused about.
yeah, maybe smack the Eagles in the mouth because they hadn't been playing great. But this was the
Yeah,
typical, should have seen this coming. Saquon, you said it last week, so kudos
mega
to
revenge
you.
game.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mega revenge game. And hey, it's been a bugaboo for the Eagles this year. Lack of pass rush, lack of getting in the backfield. To Kobe Dean,
Starting to figure it out. Last 2 weeks have been pretty
Jalen
good.
Carter, Bryce Huff, who has drawn a lot of ire from Philly fans. Nolan Smith, Jalex Hunt, Josh Sweat, all with sacks. Maybe the Eagles start to turn around. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's just the New York Giants. This is a flash in the
Very
pan.
big possibility.
No, who else are bad are the Carolina Panthers, who I think were still letting up an average of like 35 points a game. They let up 40 to the Commanders, who missed Jaden Daniels
To a
for a chunk
backup
of the game.
quarterback. Yeah. Yep.
Marcus Mariota in the mix. Looked good. Marcus.
Yeah.
Good for Marcus. I like him. Brian Robinson continues to make plays in the backfield. Jeremy McNichols, as everyone projected, is doing so as well. And it's bad. And Bryce Young is back in the mix against the Broncos this week. Andy Dalton was unfortunately in a car accident. I think I saw he has a thumb injury that's going to prevent him from playing. You're having a tough season. Then your quarterback who took over gets in a car accident. It's been a really rough season for the Panthers.
The cursed team.
The Commanders put the beat down on them. So, yeah, it's a rough season in Carolina.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the Commanders go from here, too, because obviously we know that it doesn't look like Jaden Daniels is going to play this week. So I'm curious to see if they can keep this up, or if this is kind of like you just said with the Giants game and Philly, if it was a flash in the pan type of thing playing the Panthers. But like you said, Mariota did look good, held his own, 2 touchdowns, ran for 34 yards and 11 rushes. So he looked good. I mean, that Commanders offense is good enough, I feel like, with just McLaurin and Brian Robinson Jr. alone to maybe carry him for a week or two if Daniels is hurt. But like you said, it also doesn't hurt to play Carolina, who basically, like I have in the outline here, they're last year's Giants. Chuba Hubbard is their entire offense. It might be their entire team at this point, because he continues to put up decent stat lines week after week. And there is like nothing else on this Panthers team to talk about unless again people are psyched to see Bryce Young get back in there, which I can't imagine they are.
Maybe a little mental reset. Maybe he'll play all right. I don't know. It's pretty tough. The Rams beat the now Gardner Minshew led again Raiders. Continues to be a rough season for the Raiders. But the Rams pull out a big win for morale because the trade rumors have started with them potentially trading Cooper Kupp and be willing to pay some salary. There was a rumor that I haven't seen backed up by anyone from Jack Settlement on Twitter that apparently the Vikings and Rams talked about a Matthew Stafford trade, which I don't know if it's true.
That'd be something.
Yeah, it's two teams that can't be super thrilled with how things are going, but
Mhm.
for the Rams' sake, they might be getting Puka Nacua back in like 2 weeks. I don't think they're getting him
Imagine you
back
get
this
him
week
back and then you
or
trade Cup.
tomorrow.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, like that would be something. Like Cup's got three including this year left.
I was gonna say, didn't he just get extended recently? So like, that's kind of.
Yeah. Hey,
He
Alvin
went.
Kamara just got a contract extension and has a broken hand and broken ribs.
That's
So,
true too. Good point.
um, Alexander Madison is keeping his career alive. Brock Bowers is already the best tight end in the league. Is that fair to say?
He's up there. I mean, he's breaking rookie records or
He's
tight end records, whatever it
torching
was.
shit right now the
Yeah.
last 3
Yep.
weeks. Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely excellent at Georgia, so this shouldn't be tremendously surprising, but maybe it is because the Raiders are bad. But Kyron Williams and Brock Bowers were the difference makers in this one, and the Rams pull it out.
All I'd like to say about Brock Bowers is I'd love to meet and shake the hand of the guy on my dad's league that dropped him after week 2 for whatever reason.
Yeah, well,
That
your
guy would.
dad's league
That's
has a guy
very
that drafted a
stupid.
team that was projected to go defeated, so I'm not really surprised to
I
hear
think that
that.
guy might have one
Um,
win, so the projection was wrong by one
Damn
game.
it! The
Yep.
projection was wrong. Are
Still
you
very funny
serious?
still very funny to see 0-17 on a fantasy football or whatever it was, 0-14
Oh
on a fantasy football projection. Very funny at the
yeah.
time. But yeah, the Raiders suck. The Rams aren't much better. That's kind of a slap in the face. I didn't know about that potential Vikings trade that you just talked about. Like, if you're Sam Darnold,
Yeah,
like I know he's
I don't
probably not going to
know.
lead you anywhere in the playoffs, but like that's kind of a smack in the face to him if you
Yeah, I
know,
don't know. Like, I don't want to
make a
crap
move
on the
there.
guy's scoop. Maybe I'm missing something, but I haven't seen it backed up. So maybe this guy has information that the big insiders of the world don't, or
Mhm.
maybe it was just something he heard and maybe it's not true. But it is interesting.
True.
Like I said, I don't want to crap on the guy's scoop, but
On the
haven't
other
seen it
name,
backed up.
real
So I
quick,
mean, I
because go
imagine that
ahead.
would be backed up though. It's a
You
big
would
name,
think,
so like
yeah,
that's
absolutely. You
why I
wouldn't just
have
kind of
my
throw that
doubts.
out there.
Yeah.
Market for Cooper Cup. What do you think? Because obviously we're starting to see some teams that maybe you would think would be a market for him. Obviously, the Chiefs got DeAndre Hopkins today. Bills
Yeah.
and Jets
It's gonna
obviously
make it
made
nasty
moves.
again.
Where do you think if you had to pick a spot for Cooper Cup, like what's the one that makes the most sense to you? Because like I'm struggling to think. I mean, obviously any team could use his caliber of play, but I'm trying to think of like nothing really stands out to me of like a wide. Like I would have said the Chiefs, obviously right out of the gate, but like I said, they get Hopkins today on a cheaper deal. So now I'm trying to figure out where exactly Cooper Cup might fit in best.
Yeah, like I don't know if they'd want to trade him to the Bucks, but the Bucks are in flux
Yeah,
right now.
true. Yep.
Rhyme,
Rhyme. Nice.
intentional rhyme that time.
Mhm.
At the receiver position, I'm going Steelers.
Ugh, that's such a gross one. It
Yeah, I
makes
mean
a lot of sense.
they weren't willing to pay Brandon Ayuk as
True.
much
Yep.
as he wanted, but they went hard after Brandon Ayuk. They were in the mix. Um, to my knowledge, I don't think Cooper Cup is going to make as much in these next 3 years that Ayuk would,
Mhm.
as we know his deal now, or what he would have made, which I believe was more with the Steelers, or would have been more with the Steelers. Yeah, it feels like the Steelers to me. It would be so annoyingly Chiefs though if they got Cup and Hopkins.
Ugh, I'd hate that.
Yeah, I don't know, like the Bucks.
Really isn't another one
Anyone
that
else?
stands out. Like I don't know how I didn't think of the Bucks. I mean, I was the one that said earlier that they lost both the receivers yesterday or 2 days ago. So
Is there anyone else? Like,
I can't think of anybody. All that come to mind are bad teams that don't have any talents and like don't need a wide receiver like Cooper Cup. So I got nothing.
maybe outside shot at the Ravens?
Good one.
Just because,
I
like,
mean, they got
I
Rashad
mean,
Bateman now casually scoring 100 and plus
yeah,
yard games.
like
Zay Flowers didn't really get
if
used
that's
a
a
whole
team
lot
trying to
last
get
the other
past the
night, but
Chiefs, like,
true.
Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews is back. Zay is also banged up a little bit right now.
Yep.
Rashad Bateman, like, has flashes of brilliance at
Nelson
times.
Aguilar will randomly put up big games out of nowhere, or
Yeah, he'll
have
just
big
randomly
catches out
have
of
one big
nowhere.
catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is funny given his origin story with his hands.
Yep.
But speaking of the Chiefs, 28-18 over the Niners. It would have been so Niners if they won the regular season matchup. Then we're to lose in the playoffs, like we talked about. Debo Samuel has pneumonia. I wish I knew that before the game,
So
so I would have
so
not
did my
started him.
buddy. Yep.
But it wouldn't have mattered because you beat me by like 35. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, that happened, and David Monty got hurt for a while. It wasn't meant to be. And Brandon Ayuk is done. What a weird season for him after all that hullabaloo. Patrick Mahomes continues to not look very good.
It
He had a rushing
doesn't
touchdown,
matter.
but he got that rushing touchdown because it kind of looked like 49ers players were like afraid to hit him.
Absolutely, 100% the case. Like nobody, guys in bounds, he's fair
Like I
game. I
don't
don't
even
care who it
count that as a
is. Like
touchdown. If that's if like I hate to do this, but like can we have just went back to 10 years ago or like
we light a
Could,
guy up
could
for
Ed
that.
Reed could prime Ed Reed just spawn in the secondary and crush him?
Yep.
Like
I tweeted it out when it
I miss the
happened.
big hits.
That's the play that broke like will break you because we talked about it after last year's Super Bowl and that goes into it too. Like it's the Chiefs. They're inevitable. They're Thanos. Like shit like that's gonna happen. There's nothing you can do to stop it, and clearly no one
Yeah, they're still
can
gonna
stop it.
win. Like
Like and like you said,
yeah,
Mahomes is not playing good right now. Like you see a stat line from him, a quarterback rating of 44.4, 2 picks, no touchdowns through the air. Like that's a terrible stat line for a quarterback. And they find a way to win the game by 10 points because Kareem Hunt's turning back the clock. McCole
and
Hardman gets a
Brock Purdy
rushing
throws
touchdown.
three fucking
And
picks.
yeah, and Brock Purdy has another one of these games where he looks like the last pick in the draft. Like
Yeah,
it kind of blows my mind sometimes when he goes on, I'm sure this won't be the last time this happens either because he tends to have these stretches for, a week or two. And now, especially with all of his playmakers
all of his
hurt or
weapons
banged up,
gone. Yeah,
like now you're going to get
we'll
that
see.
stretch you had last year where he looks terrible.
And one of his playmakers will be a guy that got shot about a month and a half ago.
Yep.
So and just got back. God, like this game would be an absolute joke if Brock Purdy couldn't get a couple rushing touchdowns in there.
Right.
Um, yuck, yuck. We have no idea. I don't think when Debo Samuel's going to be back. So,
I think everyone in
um,
their offense, sorry to cut you off, might be banged up. I saw Jordan Mason dealing with an
it's
ankle
ridiculous.
injury. Jawan Jennings isn't 100%. I think he's dealing with an ankle
Everyone's
injury or
hurt.
something. So who knows
Besides
who
like
they have?
Cowing and Pearsall and Kittle.
Legit in Kittle. Yep.
Kittle, watch out.
Big use
Knock
check
on
game
wood, 'cause I
coming up
love him.
against Dallas.
Yeah, use check. Um, him and Alec Ingold, the two fullbacks the team love. The Dolphins like Alec Ingold more than Tyreek Hill right
They
now.
really do. Yep.
It's crazy. The Steelers wallop the Jets. I'm not going to add much to this game because I laid on the couch to watch this
Watch a
game,
second of it.
knowing I was going to fall asleep at some point, and I did. So I don't really have much to say outside of reading some stats. So
Well,
what about
if
you?
I got nothing, I was gonna just kind of
Okay.
add to your point. If there's a game or a quarterback matchup that you think could put you to sleep the quickest, it would probably be Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. And Russell Wilson didn't even look that bad,
It wasn't even anything about the game. I just laid down on the couch because like I was just
knowing it was over. Yep.
no, I just yeah, like I'm watching the game. I'm not gonna like lay down on the pillow, but I
Yeah.
just laid down. I was like, this is comfortable. I'm just gonna fall asleep at some point, and I
Mhm.
did. I didn't want to, but it was just inevitable.
Yep.
And I want to see if I could fight through that, but I didn't really
Yeah.
try.
Yep.
Um,
I made the
Russell
executive.
Wilson looked good
Go ahead. He
from the
did.
stats, but I didn't watch the game, so
Yeah, I would. Like I said, I had made the executive decision. Watch Jets Steelers. Watch the Penguin, which might be the best show on television right
no
now. And
spoilers. I will watch it
that
when it's
one,
done.
it's very good. I won't spoil anything. Just say it's an excellent show. And if it doesn't win a lot of awards, I will be very upset.
Okay,
Very good.
good
Would
one.
highly recommend. But yeah, I had no interest in watching this game, but it ended up not being terrible for the Steelers. And like we said earlier in the Jets preview, Aaron Rodgers still sucks. You could add 5 receivers to this team; it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah, he's 40, so and he's an asshole and tore his Achilles last year. So, Ravens
Thanks.
and Bucks was thoroughly entertaining. A little bit of a roller coaster of a game. Derrick Henry, man, the reports of his demise, it's far in the past now. Were greatly, 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 greatly exaggerated. He continues to be entirely preposterous. Justice Hill looks like one of the fastest players in the league every time I see him touch the ball.
Mhm.
Rashad Bateman had a great game. Mark Andrews is in fact back. Um, they won with one target to Zay Flowers, who hurt himself um, somewhere around his ankle, like on I think the
In
first
that
time
area
he touched
somewhere.
the ball. Um, but it was a fun game. Like Bucky Irving and Rashad White were productive. Sean Tucker They kind of want to go with a three-headed monster. I guess now in Tampa, seeing how good Sean Tucker played, and they might need to run the ball even more because their two top receivers are now not playing. And yeah, K Dotton, 100 yards. So yeah, that's sick. For any hope I had in fantasy against you on Monday night, and
I got
this
lucky
is
there.
a pretty good game. Yeah, but I liked it, and the Ravens proved to be the team to beat in the AFC even further.
It seems like it. I mean, I was gonna say that the Derrick Henry stat line might be a little, if you didn't watch the game, little not alarming. I'm trying to think of what the word is, but I mean, there were a good stretch of that game where they just didn't use him.
Yeah,
Like it
and then
was the
they're just like,
Justice
oh,
Hill
70-yard
show.
run.
Yeah,
Something
legit.
like that.
And exactly, I remember the exact play you're talking about where he broke it off for legit like 80 yards. And that obviously helped pad the stat line. But again, like if you can have Derrick Henry on the bench for half of the game and you still put up big numbers against a pretty good Buccaneers team, like we have in the outline here, like Lamar's making a case for back-to-back MVPs as you predicted to start the year. He was excellent in this game again. Had an awesome down the sideline throw to Rashad Bateman, put it right in the bucket. Was one of the best throws I've seen a quarterback make all season. So he's playing at a very high level right now, and that's another team kind of in a different sense because I think it's a more well-rounded team than the Packers, but it's another team where it's like, how do you game plan for this team? You just can't. Like you could say, okay, Justice Hill maybe we'll focus a little bit more on him, and then next game Derrick Henry will come out and run the ball 25 times for 150 yards and a couple of touchdowns. So it's very difficult right now, and I'm with you. I'm hoping it's the Ravens as much as I don't like that team. That's the team that comes out of the AFC, or not the AFC East, the AFC as a whole. But obviously we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, I mean they are frightening. They are frightening. I don't have a ton on Chargers and Cardinals. It was funny talking about Patriots receivers earlier to see a guy that did the whole Bugatti at the trailer meme and then got released by the Patriots 2 hours later, drop a crucial ball. I didn't know he was on the Chargers until
Neither
that
did
happened.
I saw a highlight and I'm like, oh wow, look at that.
I was like, oh, that says Rager. Oh, how fitting. I don't know. I was the Ravens and Bucks game was significantly more entertaining. Unfortunately, we saw two great players get hurt. You never like to see that. Two likable guys too. But in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But man, just really didn't have much willpower to focus on this game with
could have cared less.
Ravens and Bucks. Teams Ravens and Bucks on. So yeah, don't have much to add. Cardinals win 17-15 though.
Yep, I got nothing to add to this game. Kickers and Greg Dortch, like I have in the outline. I do not care.
Chad Ryland won the game again. Is that his second game winning kick?
Yep.
Oh
yeah, it was.
God. Absolutely perfect. Let's do our predictions for week 8. Vikings Rams tomorrow night. It's the Vikings for me, bounce back spot. The Rams are in disarray. Hopefully, for their sake, they're good. Puka back as soon as possible. Maybe Cooper Kupp is playing his last game as a Ram. I don't think they pull this one out. I think the Vikings win tomorrow night on the road.
As do I. A
Alrighty.
lot of don't overthink it picks this week for me after
Yes.
a questionable showing last week.
That's okay.
Saying that, picking the Patriots against the Jets for whatever reason.
I'm picking the Jets.
All right.
Ravens Browns. It would be really funny if the Ravens lost to Jameis.
Very funny. Yep.
Very funny. Ravens. Do we need to explain it after we just talked about the Ravens? Not really super necessary. Yet the 5-1 team versus the 1-5 team, Lions and Titans. The Titans have absolutely zero chance of winning this game. The Lions will win.
Right there with you. Only chance I have is the Lions just don't show up for the game. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think Dan Campbell might punch someone on the team if they do that. So, Colts and Texans. This would be a Texans loss, even though they're not the Texans of old.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not gonna Anthony Richardson still has a lot to prove. That Colts team is unpredictable. I'm gonna take my shot at predicting them losing by at least 10 points to the Texans.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Texans, I think, get a bounce back win after a tough loss against the Packers. I'm not going to say I'm not sold, but I don't know what to expect with Anthony Richardson anymore. I thought he was going to be the next big thing, and he just has not proven that this year. And obviously, Jonathan Taylor's status is still up in the air. Michael Pittman, I know, still dealing with his back injury, so I got to imagine he's not 100%. It's the Texans for me in a bounce back spot.
Radio. Jaguars and Packers, another one. Don't overthink it. The Jaguars will not win this football game. The Packers will.
Yeah,
Good
even
luck, Jaguars.
yeah.
Because all excited about beating the Patriots in London,
Mhm.
where people probably like you more than your actual Jacksonville fans.
Good
And
point.
Mac Jones is pumped. Mac Jones, like, getting in all the celebrations, like, you're such a fucking loser.
Yeah,
Oh my
guys, I'm
God.
here too. Look at me!
Hey, look at
Yay!
me. I hope the coach gave him a lollipop in the fucking locker room after the game,
Well, he
pussy
did.
ass.
Oh.
The Jaguars will not win this game. They're gonna get fucking throttled by the Packers this week.
I'd like to know who made the schedule this year, because how do you not give the Jaguars a bye after 2 straight weeks in London?
Yeah, I didn't think of that. I
Like,
kind of knew where you were going when you started to say that, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't even pick up on that until you just started to say that.
yeah, like it doesn't make any sense to me. Regardless whether they're coming home from London or not, coming off a quote unquote big win against the Patriots, it's the Packers all the way. Like they're gonna destroy the Jaguars in this game.
Yes, I agree. Tua's too cool for a Guardian cap, and he might play against the Cardinals. I don't care how Tua plays; they are gonna lose this game to the Cardinals. And good luck to you, Tua. Seriously, like, gonna be very nervous watching Dolphins games from here on out as long as he
How can you
plays.
not be? See, when I first made this pick, I figured he wasn't playing, and now that there's some thoughts that he might, I kind of want to pick the Dolphins, but I'm gonna
No,
stick. Yeah, I'm
don't.
gonna stick with my original Cardinals pick. I think Tua comes out, looks a little not shaky, but definitely there's some rust that needs to be shaken off. I'm with you. Like we were talking about the other day, and how he basically just cut that reporter off asking about the cap and being like, "What's it's a style or like a stylistic choice or whatever he said or a personal choice." And then, like I said to you, the next question was perfect of basically being like, well, you're going to basically change the way you play then and not be a fucking idiot is how I would have asked the question.
Yeah,
And he's like, oh, we'll basically kind of see how it goes type of thing. I'm like, dude, like if you go out there again and you're taking guys on like you're in, like I've said before, prime Cam Newton or thinking you're bigger than you are, like not that you deserve to get hurt again, but like just be smart. Don't put yourself in another stupid position. Like I'm with you. I don't
and
know
it
how
might
you
not even
can't.
take him putting himself in a stupid
Yeah,
position to
that's the
fuck
thing
up his
too. I was gonna
life.
say like
People are just worried about you fucking up your life, dude.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
God.
that's the first one wasn't even on a run. It was he gets sacked on the first concussion he had. So like any questionable hit he takes, like you're gonna be holding your breath for definitely the rest of this year, and you got to think like you said, the rest of his football career at this point.
Yeah, it's frightening. Bucks and Falcons. Ryan,
I
I
called an
get where you're
audible.
coming from with the Falcons here,
Yeah.
with the lack of receivers. This is one the Falcons lose.
I
This
don't
is a
disagree.
Falcons loss.
I don't
This is a
disagree with
Falcons
you.
loss incoming. This is a way they find a way to lose the game stupid.
Okay.
The Bucks are my pick.
I'm taking the Falcons. I got to see what the Bucks offense looks like with no Godwin, with no Evans. I think there'll be at least a week.
Three-headed monster
Yeah,
in the
very.
running game.
See, that's what I wonder.
Trey
Like, do you
Palmer. Maybe Trey Palmer will
well,
tweet that he woke up mad and he'll
a
score a
big, a
touchdown.
big Trey
That'd be
Palmer game?
I don't think he's done it this year. Oh, come on, Trey. Do it for the people. Do it for the people
See, if
who
you're the
love your Twitter
Buccaneers, do you
account.
have all three of those running backs in the game at the same time? Like, I would line Rashad White up in the slaughters. I'd get creative. You got to do something.
Yeah.
Like throw people off. Like obviously he's a great pass catching back.
Sterling Shepard goes off for 140 yards.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. This is another huge Kate Otten game coming up.
Oh my
I don't
God,
know.
yeah,
Like
Kate Otten.
I'm just gonna go with the healthier team right now. Again, the Falcons aren't playing great football, but again, they're more intact than the Buccaneers are right now, and there are some pieces on that offense for the Falcons that has looked good. But I don't disagree with you. If this is a close game late, I very well could see Kirk Cousins throwing this game away, and maybe handing Baker, who hasn't played great the last couple of weeks, handing him a win that maybe the Buccaneers shouldn't have had. But I'm gonna stick
We
with the
saw Michael
Falcons.
Penix for the first time last week. A little
Did
bit.
yeah.
Michael Penix. Eagles and Bengals.
I'm a little
This is a game
surprised
where
you
I
went
could
Bengals
see
here.
I
Sorry
could
to
see either
steal your
team
thunder,
fucking it
but
up in just dumb fashion. And I'm unconfidently going with the Bengals.
okay. I'm right there with you. I like the football that Joe Burrow is playing more so than what Jalen Hurts is doing right now. And I think if you're going off of that fuck up factor, I think Jalen Hurts screws something up before Joe Burrow does. So that's why I'm taking the Bengals. Plus they're at home. Take the home team. You
Yeah,
have to
that's
think
true.
too. The Eagles and Sirianni's dumbass are probably celebrating a thumping of the Giants. They're probably going to come in
Yeah.
riding way too high than they should, and I'm sure it'll be a close game. But there's part of me that also thinks like the Bengals could easily crush them in this game.
Maybe. That'd be funny. Bills and Seahawks. I didn't really have much thought of a Seahawks pick
Okay.
here, so I went with the Bills. DK, of course, not being in the mix hurts. I think this one's gonna be close though. Close win for the Bills.
All right. So I was going to ask you what your thoughts on picking the Seahawks was, because there's part of me that there's always a game or two, and this is, I think, one of those type of games where the Bills come in and maybe, take their foot off the gas a little bit, slip up and lose a game they probably shouldn't. But like you said, it is the DK factor for me. What is Seattle? Seattle obviously has plenty of offensive weapons still, but I like the Bills, a little bit more in this one. Maybe a surprise win on the road to some people, but I'm going to stick with Buffalo.
Alrighty. Chargers and Saints. I'm going with the Chargers because the Saints are bad.
Yep,
And
I'm
they're
not
not
making the same
marching.
mistake 2 weeks in a row. Riding
Saints
with you with
are
the Chargers.
the only marching the Saints are doing is to LA to lose. Bears and Commanders. Caleb Williams for Jaden Daniels? Nope. Jaden Daniels? Nope. Caleb Williams versus Marcus Mariota. Unfortunate. But for that reason, I am going with the Bears because Marcus did good against the Panthers defense. I think the Bears will give him more problems. And I think this game will still, I don't think they'll blow out the Commanders, though. I think it'll be kind of close.
Okay.
Close-ish. I don't know.
I do not think that. I think this is a wake-up call for Marcus Mariota. I think if it was Daniels, I would have picked the Commanders. I'm not going to lie, but because it's Marcus Mariota, and again, I think he maybe got a little bit of a beneficiary of playing the worst team in football last week. I'm going to go with the Bears and a pretty commanding win. No pun intended.
Oh, all right. Commanding. Whoa.
Yeah.
Panthers and Broncos.
Ugh.
Broncos, I don't even want to talk about it.
10-6 game coming up. Broncos all the way.
No, this is like the Broncos are going to kill them.
You think so?
Yeah, the Broncos are going to kill them. They've found ways to kill better teams.
Fair.
Even though the Saints are much better. They did kill the Bucks. This will give them like a confidence boost, and it'll mean nothing because when they play good teams, they'll lose. Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders. It would be really funny if this is how the Chiefs lose their undefeated record. I don't think they will, though. They did not play great outside of the defensive side against the 49ers and beat the 49ers by 10 points. So they will not lose to the Raiders. That is how it works in my mind.
Yeah, I don't know if you recall, but the preseason, I can't remember who the player was. You remember that Raiders player that was walking around with the Kermit the Frog puppet, but was acting like it was Patrick Mahomes? And they asked Mahomes about it in the preseason, and he basically was like, "Oh, we'll address that when it comes time." Basically, going to be like, when we play the Raiders, we're going to beat the piss out of them. The Chiefs are going to beat the piss out of the Raiders in this game for that reason alone. Maybe they get D-Hop in this game, get him activated and playing well. Or they could just ride Kareem Hunt the entire game, which I think is maybe the more plausible thing to do because the Raiders suck all around on defense. And it's the Chiefs for me. I'm pretty close to being done picking against the Chiefs when it comes to these games.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. It would be Cowboys to lose this game. I don't think they will. I think they'll beat the 49ers on the road, taking advantage of a wounded duck. That is just something the Cowboys will do. Gain confidence from it, then lose to a team that has more than enough capabilities to beat them in the future. I don't know what their schedule looks like. I am taking the Cowboys.
This is my Eagles-Bengals game for you. I think the Cowboys find a way to lose this game more so than the 49ers find a way to win it. So I'm going to pick with the 49ers just off of vibes alone. The Cowboys have been a very stupid team this year. The fact that they are coming off a bye kind of scares me a little bit because I think obviously the extra week to prepare and obviously those injuries are going to factor in with the 49ers, but I think they find a way to win this game. Purdy bounces back and beats the Cowboys and will probably be a gross game.
All right. Giants Steelers.
Talk about a gross
kind of
game.
breaking out of the mold of they're kind of breaking out of the mold of gross games.
A little bit. Yeah, you're not necessarily
they're
wrong.
Some games big. They're going to do it again. The Giants are really bad. The Steelers are going to beat them by 2 touchdowns at least.
Okay. I'm right there with you. I think Steelers all the way as much as I don't like that pick, but I hate both these teams and I'm going to go with the better one and take the Steelers because the Giants are just not a good football team. And maybe this is the beginning of my preseason pick for the Giants where we see 3 different quarterbacks all start 2 different games because Daniel Jones was benched last week. So maybe if he struggles again, this is the end of the Daniel Jones era in New York.
Perhaps. No bye weeks. This week. Let's shift to Bruins. Things are
Sure.
not so great for the Bruins.
They're not.
Things went okay in the Colorado game. Had some moments of lacking confidence in Korpisalo here and there in the first two periods, but I think he reeled it in pretty well in the third overall. Stops 22-25. They outshoot the Avalanche 26-25. They're 2-4 on the power play, but 0 for 3 on the PK. Not great. PK has been overall decent strength. And they won a lot of faceoffs, which is nice, 61.3%. Cole Koepke scores again because that's what he's been doing. And the fourth line continues to be the best line. Offensive juggernaut, Cole Koepke, number 45 in your programs. The Colton goal was easy, as you know, were the power play goals they scored as a whole. Great feed by Lowrider Coyle. Love to see that. We also saw another nice one with Lindholm to Pasta, which was great. Pasta made that whole play happen too with the falling like swivel pass. So that was nice. Back-to-back power play goals. So that's great. Lindholm then sneaks a back scratcher past Georgiev, who is really having a doozy of a year. Makar's power play goal was sent past Joonas Korpisalo with like a swift, subtle anger to it. Snappy passes and a hard, swift shot past Joonas Korpisalo. Would have loved to save from Korpisalo on the Rantanen goal, but so be it. You know, he's a goalie that's going to let up some softies, some squeakers. But Johnny Beecher ends up with an empty netter. They beat down on a Colorado team that has been struggling and is currently still missing Devon Toews. Valeri Nichushkin's been back on the ice lately, but he's not eligible for reinstatement until November 13th. But they're the Colorado Avalanche. I think they will figure it out. It's just taking some time. We'll talk about another team that is taking some time to figure things out too. That the Bruins played. Not Utah. Utah's good, and they beat the Bruins in overtime in a less eventful game. Swayman stops 30 of 32. Was overall impressed with him. They get outshot, beating the Bruins 32-22. 0 for 7 combined on the power play, but they outhit the hockey club 29-12, which is nice to see. You know, you want to see that from a bigger team, and hopefully it turns into a win. This time it doesn't, but it's it's a positive. There's Cole Koepke again, this time for Brad Marchand. Who expected that combo to figure on a goal this year? Not me. Maybe on a call-up for Mr. Koepke, but he is further establishing himself as a permanent fourth liner, and he should, because if Riley Tufte or Max Jones are prioritized over a guy like him, when it comes time to send one of them down, because that time will come, because they suck, and there's 14 forwards. I don't think they're carrying 14 forwards all year. If Cole Koepke's sent down, I will be very upset. He goes 5-hole on Connor Ingram. I had a problem with the Kuliachonic goal because nothing against Vladislav Kuliachonic, but a third pairing defenseman who is still trying to like further solidify, like kind of a fringe guy, like played enough NHL games, but still trying to prove himself as a younger guy. He's probably like 23, 24. He shouldn't sneak behind everybody on your team and go backhand roof job on Jeremy Swayman. Not blaming it on Swayman, blaming it on everyone else for forgetting he exists. Really hated that. Really unfortunate, and sure did upset me. Michael Kesselring once committed to Merrimack. Fun fact: Michael Kesselring went to Northeastern instead. Snipes just after the power play caused by a Pastrnak trip, and that is it. This is the game I was worried about the most. I did say it on the show. Utah's good. They're building something, but at the same time, Sean Durzi, top 4 defenseman, is out like 3-4 months, and John Marino is out 4 to 6. They acquired John Marino in the offseason. They acquired Sean Durzi 2 years ago, and they are both gone for multiple months. I might have mixed up the timelines. Those were the timelines, though, I think. Might have assigned them to the wrong players, but 2 top 6 defensemen gone for numerous months. So when things are going right for Utah, they get kicked in the balls with losing a couple defensemen. So sucks for them, but they did beat the Bruins. I've been impressed with how they played so far this year. Unfortunate loss for the Bruins. Didn't have huge problems with it, but I think it was a winnable game, but one I expected them to lose. So yeah, but their first dose of playing in Utah, we'll see how future contests go, because as we know, the Bruins had Arizona's number, beating them constantly. First time they play Utah, that is not the case. Maybe this is all the franchise needed to beat the Bruins. It's just to move to
One
a
name
different state.
change. Yep, that's it.
Yeah. Tough loss, but not the worst loss. This loss was a lot worse. They go to Nashville. They lose 4-0 last night. Swayman stops 38 of 41. Nashville, I feel like, always finds a way to drop like 35 plus shots on Jeremy Swayman. I feel like that's happened multiple times. I remember that big shutout he had, one of Swayman's better performances in his career. I think it was 42 saves. Just one of those random memories that stuck in my brain. Super particular. They outshoot the Bruins 42-33. Elias Lindholm was the sole -3 on the Bruins. Lots of -2s and ones to go around. He was the sole -3. They sucked in this game. Worst game of the season. O'Reilly slips out front and tips one home. Novak just sneaks through some Bruins too and puts in a goal, 2-0. I turned the game off after the Nyquist goal because it was so pathetic.
Wow, that's
I don't do
unlike
that.
you. I was just gonna
I
say,
don't
yeah,
do that.
that's usually that's what I did. That's my MO when it comes to the Bruins. All right, something else is on TV. Oh no, it was the Celtics. So you
No,
going
I
back and
went to
forth on
bed.
that, and then okay,
I didn't turn
flat
anything else
out
on.
just all
I just
right.
turned it off. I don't know if the Celtics were still on. Maybe I kept
No,
the
I
Celtics
think it
on
was
before
it
bed.
was probably
I
over at
think it
that
was
point.
over.
So
Yeah, it must have been. I hardly ever do that. Yeah, I noticed this more on rewatching it today. You got to rewatch that goal and just watch Zadorov. Like, he's going for this deep pinch that doesn't work
it
to
hasn't
hammer
been
O'Reilly.
great.
He sucks.
The only thing he's good at is taking penalties, and that's kind of where
Yeah,
I'm
he's
at with them,
consistent.
and that might lead into there's a question I want to ask you when you're done with this recap, but like they are
And
not a smart hockey team right
no,
now
they're
with the way
averaging
they played.
over 6 penalties a game.
Yep, it's bad.
Their next highest was like 10 years ago. I saw a stat. Like, they were like 1.4 less penalties a game or some shit. He tries that, it doesn't work. And then look, no forward besides Connor McDavid maybe is getting back fast enough. Maybe Matt Barzal, someone with a lot of speed, to make that play, but he just doesn't hustle back. He's deep and he's not going to make a play anyways, but he doesn't hustle back. I am seeing the Nikita Zadorov that I hated years ago in Calgary, wherever else he was, where he would play dumb and take penalties. I don't like it at
You
all.
were on
He
that when
needs to
they
fix
signed
it.
him. I vaguely remember you saying you hope you get the guy that played, for Colorado, right? Was the
He's
team you played for
concerning me.
last? Yeah.
Vancouver.
Nah, yeah, Vancouver. Thank you.
Yeah, a little bit with Calgary too. He turned things around in his later days in Calgary.
Mhm.
Fuck, is he annoying to watch right now? Easy goal for Nyquist, his first of the year. Pasta just knuckleballs a point shot with the net empty, and Luke Evangelista ends it on the empty netter. I hate pulling the goalie very early. They pulled him with like more than 6 minutes left. The success rate has not been proven to work.
They
Do
do
not
that.
do it.
Yeah.
Have confidence in your team and do it
To
later.
fight back.
You can
Yeah.
score multiple goals in a couple minutes if you do it with like 3.5 minutes left. This is stupid because I feel like a lot of the times when it happens, teams score within like 30 seconds of this
I was
6
gonna
minutes
say,
time
didn't
left.
Montgomery do
It
this
never
last year? And I
works.
texted you, I'm like, what are you doing? And then it happened
It
like
never works.
legit within a minute. They gave up a goal. I'm like, well, that was a great decision.
It never
He is
works.
losing that. I'll ask my question now because something happened in that Utah game that has started to catch a little bit of fire in the situation with Montgomery and Marchand. And I don't know if you had any thoughts on that. Because to me, like seeing that and then seeing the play or lack thereof in the Nashville, like I wonder if there's a correlation there. Like, because it's happened numerous times this season, at least in my opinion. We talked about that opening night. There's been a lot of times, at least to me, where this team just does not look like they are ready to come out of the gate and play. They have gotten off to so many, even games they've won, sluggish starts this year. And I said it opening night, I put that on the head coach. And now I wonder, with him going after Marchand in the Utah game, maybe rightfully so, depending on how you look at it. And maybe, it's nothing for Marchand because I'm sure he's dealt with tough coaching in his career and he's a tough guy, as we know. But I wonder if players saw that in that Utah game and then just said, F it. You're going to, put the captain on blast, put a guy that's been here way longer than you have on blast. Watch what we do tonight in Nashville and the stinker that we're about to put out there. So I'm a little concerned. I'm not going to say that Montgomery is losing the locker room by any means because it's still very early. But there is part of me that's like, all right, things are starting to go south very quickly. And I wonder how secure his job might be with how things have gone down.
Yeah, I'm really starting to wonder if he's being tuned out.
Okay.
I I don't think
Seems like
Marshawn
it.
seemed to really be bothered by that, which worries me too. At the same time, this stinker is on Marshawn too. He hasn't scored.
Yeah, he's been
Like
bad. Yep.
you need to take control of this team, and so does Jim Montgomery. So I'm not absolving Marshawn of anything here. Whether what the reason Montgomery had for doing it specifically is unknown to us. But Marshawn didn't really seem like he just kind of brushed it off, which kind of like he's the voice. And then they lay the stinker. Like, is he being tuned out? Are they sick of this? Do they hate the constant juggling of lines? Why is
I
Max
do.
Jones on the second line?
I have
I
hated
would
that for
be
2
cool
years.
with never seeing Max Jones and Riley Tufte ever play a fucking game for the Bruins again. And I'm very serious. Give me Fabian Lysell. Give me Mark McLaughlin. Give me Trevor Kuntar. Give me John Farrah fucking Nachi. Give me Georgi Merkulov. Seriously, Riley Duran, Vinny
Anybody
Lettieri,
else? Legit
anyone
anybody else?
besides these fucking clowns.
Well,
And Tufte and Jones. Jones is fucking terrible.
you had Jones from day one because you called him Mac Jones like 3 or 4 times, and I think your exact wording was like, if he stinks, it's going to be very easy to call
Let's
him
take
that, or
this
something
guy
along
that
the
has
lines of
done
that.
nothing and has taken dumb penalties, and he took more dumb penalties, and put him on the second line. What are you doing,
That
dude?
reeks of desperation.
Like, it reeks of desperation, and it reeks of being a dumbass.
Yeah, being a bad coach. Being a bad coach. Like,
why? He has done nothing to earn that. Nothing. I'd rather put Matt Poitras at left wing on the second line than
see
Max Jones.
now that you say that, now that kind of makes me wonder even more of like of the tuning out thing where it's like, all right, like I'm not going to reward some of these guys that maybe are playing better, or nobody's playing great right now, but like, you know what I mean? Like some guys that have proven themselves, like you said, and have played half decent. Maybe this is a Montgomery pushback of being like, all right, if you guys are going to tune me out, I'm going to stick this who's done nothing for us, put him up on the second line because at least in practice he has shown, or he has listened to me or shown some effort. So now that you say it, now I'm even more concerned. Just kind of putting that in my brain.
Yeah, like, and I get the both sides of this too. Like, you don't want to break up the fourth line. If anybody deserved that promotion, it's Johnny Beecher.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
It's Johnny Beecher. And look, maybe you could have went Frederick on the left and went Frederick, Coyle, fucking Geeky or Patra. Geeky is doing nothing. Has done nothing this year. Like, I want Justin Brazeau is like at least trying. I want him in the lineup. There's no reason Max Jones should be in the lineup over fucking Justin Brazeau. Like, and look, I haven't watched all of Fabian Lysell's games. I've seen some good moments, some good flashes, some good zone entries. A really nice goal he scored. It's not about what he has done to earn it. It is about getting an infusion of speed on this team. You need speed. You need a guy that, although he didn't earn it, like he's confident that he belongs in the NHL. Just give him the chance to prove it, because you are a team that has changed your identity that you don't really have. It's not set, but like you want it to be bigger and more physical and taller and heavier. And Mark Kastelic did that great. Like, he beat the crap out of Luke Shen. That was an awesome fight. You need some speed. You need some speed because Brad Marchand has put up a couple assists. He doesn't have like much speed anymore. He gets slower by the day. You're a heavier team. You have Beecher and Kepke who can do what they can do with fourth line ice time and some speed. You have none of it on defense. Like, McAvoy joins the rush, but like he's not a guy you rely on like for blazing speed like a Cale Makar. They need something. They need top guys to play better. Pasternak has played, the numbers have been good. Lindholm has been good, but like Pasternak goes in and out of games, I think, still.
Yep.
I'm fine with Lindholm overall. Like, he's having a couple like not so great games, but like overall he's been solid. Marchand can be better. Zacha can be better. Geeky can be better. Coyle scored against fucking Colorado, but like you need more from him. And a lot of these top guys being the guys that are having issues lends back to the tuning out thing, which like one guy in particular I don't see ever tuning out a coach really is Charlie Coyle. I just don't think he's that type of guy. I don't think Marchand is either, but like he's the captain, and like maybe I'm overanalyzing him just brushing off essentially the
No, it
whole
was a little
Montgomery
weird.
thing.
I think you're onto something there because
He's
like you
like
would
kind
think
of
there'd be
like
a
a quiet, like
reaction,
fuck
but
off, dude. Like,
yeah,
um, yeah, this team needs to find an identity. They need their big guys to step up. They need Nikita Zadorov and Max Jones to stop taking penalties and Max Jones to stop playing.
yeah, just not be there.
Zadorov, at least, like, I hate that it had to get to this point, but he was like very like upset with himself talking to the media. Like, hope he can clean that up. Because like, him too, outside of the penalties, not really playing like a
It
six
hasn't
foot
done a
six
whole lot.
defenseman.
Yeah,
Just hammer people, dude. Just hammer people. And sure, that might lead to penalties, but at least their penalties were like, you're asserting
you can
dominance. Like,
justify taking
people
them. Yeah,
talked about you in the offseason where you're like, oh, the Bruins have a badass now. Like, nobody wants to fuck with this guy. Like, teams are going to be scared of the Bruins. I don't know if anyone's that
I haven't
scared of Nikita
really seen
Zadorov.
that. Yeah,
Like, you need more. Andrew Peeke has had some rough moments too, but he's the third pairing defenseman. I'm not putting a lot on him. There are guys you need a lot more from on this team. And it starts with the coach and it starts with your captain. And things are fucked right now, but they're fixable. You hope they are. There's also, maybe this is a cope. Maybe it's not. They've started really hot the last 2 years. They haven't started hot. Maybe they find their groove and they get on a roll. You can't start hot every year.
true.
So hopefully they can just find that spark and run with it whenever that happens. But it's not going to be easy because you got Dallas first up,
Arguably the
and
best
Dallas
team in
is
hockey coming up.
playing good. So have fun with that. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's all this kind of the same points you echo. The only other thing I was gonna say about the Marston situation, which, like you said, makes it so interesting, is like, yeah, you maybe understand him not reacting to the screaming behind him because I'm sure he's been tough or coached toughly before. I'm sure he's had plenty of coaches yell at him. But the fact that, like, for me too, that was a little jarring was the fact that you allow, not that he's gonna go after Montgomery or like react in any way, but like the fact that he hits him and there's no reaction, like that again to me is like, all right, kind of like you said, like, all right, man, like go fuck yourself. Like
Yeah, you're
either
hoping
I
like it's
don't
just
care or
focus. Yeah,
yeah,
you're
or
hoping
it's
it's just
that.
focus. Like, yeah, like it's
Exactly.
whatever. Like, I kind of deserve
I
it type
know
of
I
thing.
yeah,
Maybe
I know I fucked up.
maybe there
Like
is an F off thing, but he just doesn't want to like get in a screaming match in front of his
yeah.
teammates. I don't know. There's something, regardless of whether he's losing the team or not. There needs to be some soul searching and there needs to be some better fucking play because that Predators game was an absolute doozy of frustrating and epic proportions. And they don't get an easy start to remedying that because they get Dallas, who's 5-2, third in the Central. Rope Hintz 7 points in 7 games. Logan Stankoven, your Calder pick, looking good, 7 assists, more like a defenseman stat line. But hey,
Yeah,
points are
absolutely.
points. You got scores in that team. I think they'll be all right, and they are all right. They look like the cup contender they should be. And you had a tough test, whether Jake Ottinger is a net or not, who got blessed by Jeremy Swayman's deal because he got the same deal. So shout out to Jake Ottinger. Although he's a Terrier, I'm a big fan of Jake Ottinger. Toronto, first time seeing them. I mean, they're still gonna have the cloud looming over their heads of being Toronto, and they've already some players I've seen already drawing criticism, but Nylander has been far and away their best player. Mitch Marner and him are tied for the team lead in scoring at 7 points each, but they are still Toronto. They are beatable. They had Dennis Hill to be their third string goalie already started a game. So yeah, that's
Nice.
where they're at. We'll see if we see Stolars. Stolars can be good. So if you get Stolars, maybe you have some tough goaltending on the other side, but still figured some things out in Toronto. They are 4-3. And then you get Philly. Philly is having a rough go, and they are, I believe, losing to the Capitals right now. Second half of the back-to-back. They are 1-4-1, but the Russian phenom Matvei Michkov is pacing them and scoring with 5 points in his first 6 NHL games. He did get laid out. I'm sure a lot of people saw that clip in the Seattle game, a little welcome to the NHL moment after a through the legs toe drag attempt, or just a through the legs move. But Matvei Michkov looks every bit the part. He's very good. He is a hockey genius in terms of his hockey IQ. He is an extremely impressive talent, and he will be for the Philadelphia Flyers for a long time. Hopefully, a game the Bruins can win because they got a couple potentially tough ones to start, and you got a rough-looking Philly team with a crazy coach, though, so this could get turned around perhaps in time for the Bruins, perhaps a little further down the road. But how are you feeling about the week ahead? And are you anticipating more of the same or not?
I can't say I'm not feeling great until I see things change. And the other thing I just remembered as you were talking to the last Montgomery report I had, because they played an interview with him on Felger and Maz today, because they were talking about kind of the same thing about, the hot seat, all that talk. Um, and I can't remember what the question was exactly, but basically was like something along the lines of like keeping the team together or like kind of like tuning guys out. And I think his answer was something along the lines of like, oh, we need to stick together as a team. I mean, like, I feel like usually when you hear that comment, like the other thing is happening is guys are tuning you out and, things are starting to fall apart.
Maybe.
Seeing
Yeah.
that with the Patriots right now. So it's alarming right now. Like you hope with Dallas coming up, they can maybe kind of refocus here and say, all right, we got a really tough task on our hands with a really good Dallas team that's, a lot of people's pick to go to the Cup Finals and win the thing. So you hope that's a game they come out with, the hair on fire. You're hitting guys, playing smart and get off to a hot start. But if they come out and they look sluggish and they get down early and God forbid, they pack it in again, like they it seemed like they did in the Nashville game, you're going to have a big problem on your hands. I think next time we talk about this Bruins team next week, because like you said, there are, the Philadelphia game should be a winnable one, but you drop a couple against Dallas and Toronto, like then I think you're really, really starting to get in trouble here.
Oh yeah, and I liked you brought up the interview too because I didn't hear that clip from whatever would you say Toucher and Rich they played that or something.
I think it was Felger Maz in the
Felger
afternoon
and
played
Maz,
it, but yeah,
salad brains.
it's
Either
okay.
way, so another thing I'm concerned about is you got Dallas. So you probably don't want to start Korpisalo against Dallas. Swayman has started the last two. Do you start Korpisalo at home against Toronto? Probably over Dallas, but I don't know.
Definitely over Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, is it crazy to say they give Swayman 4 starts in a row and give Korpisalo Philly? Like, is Swayman gonna play 65 games this year?
I was just thinking that he might be the old Bruin. The Bruins pride themselves on having the goalies with basically a 52-48 split, and now
at the same time,
looking at like 70-30%.
If they look at Toronto as an opportunity, like, all right, we don't want to give Swayman, say, 4 games in a row if he plays against Dallas, which he probably should. What if you're like, okay, if Korpisalo beats a rival in his first time playing them at the Bruins home barn, maybe that's like a confidence
ride
boost
him for a while. That too, yeah.
Maybe not even ride him, but like, I doubt the Bruins feel super confident in Korpisalo due to certain things. Like, it hasn't been the best start.
Imagine, yeah.
So like if he gets a win against Toronto, maybe you can feel a little more comfortable with Korpisalo. Maybe that just gives him personally something like, okay, like fuck yeah, like it's been rough at times, but like I want to be serviceable here, and that could be a big jumping off point win for him. Now, is that to say you give him back to back? No, you probably just give Swayman Philly, but yeah, they have an interesting little slate of games here for the goaltenders. I'm interested to see how they handle it. No more Max Jones, please. Can I not see Max Jones for the rest of the season? If not, at least the next 3 games. Find some combination. I don't think they're going to call Fabian Lysell. They don't have the cap space to sign Tyler Johnson yet. They could if they put someone on waivers. They have 14 forwards. Just can you make room for Tyler Johnson? Can we get like a veteran in here with a little bit of speed? He's declining, but like win faceoffs, plays with some forechecking ability, some speed, maybe a little bit of scoring touch. He needs something. Like, can you make room for Tyler Johnson? Because he's willing to hang around. He said that on Insider Trading with TSN yesterday, or they reported that he's feeling that way rather. Like he'd wait for the Bruins. We saw Dan Heinen sign on October 30th last year. We're approaching that time. It'll be that time in a week's time.
Maybe that's just the anniversary. Just do it then.
Yeah, maybe they'll just do it then. They can waive someone. I don't think you should lose sleep over losing Max Jones or
Max Jones Riley Tufte for some reason.
Like you have a lot of good Providence forwards. Mark McLaughlin has shown you good games. Trevor Kuntar might thrive. Energy guy.
No, I've made
John Farinacci has been solid since they got him from Harvard. George Merkulov, another infusion of speed type of guy, some skill. Fabian Lysell. I'd even take Vinny Lettieri, man. I seriously would. I think they brought him back for a reason. They had him once. Like, okay, this is the guy we'll take in the Jakob Blanco trade. We know him. We need to end this. We need to end the Riley Tufte and Max Jones things and figure some things out. Because it's not just them, of course. The Flyers are now losing 4-0 to the Capitals, by the way. Jesus. So
I was gonna
It's
say
going bad for
I've
them.
made this joke for like as long as you've known me. They love their fourth line nobodies that don't do anything but
Oh
went to school
yeah.
here or had a good year like 5 years ago. Or put up like
Well,
60
hey, that
points in
should
the
work against them
AHL.
then. Riley Tufte played college hockey at University of Minnesota's Duluth, but
Oh, perfect. Get him the hell out
Farinacci,
of here then.
Harvard, Kuntar, BC, McLaughlin, BC, Patrick Brown, BC. If we're even talking about Providence's new captain, by the way, shout out to him. They could bring up Jeffrey VL, the guy they signed who beats the crap out of people. Like, why not? Literally anybody besides those guys. I'm serious. Like, it's bad. I don't want to watch them anymore. Shall we shift to a much more positive note with the Celtics who
Yeah, might be the
won the
only
NBA
positive.
championship and
Yeah.
got rings and stuff is really good.
hmm Is
Should
it
we do that?
crazy to say one game into the season that's already over? Because I mean,
Yeah, yeah. No, it's not crazy.
there is
I was gonna
plenty
say
to
yeah,
like right
yeah, it's
now.
already over. Not
Uh-huh.
yeah.
I gotcha.
Yes,
Yep, I
or yeah,
understand.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I mean it. I again, you never want to get too high or too low after a one game sample size, and it was tough after last night's Celtics game. Because I mean, there was a lot going for the Knicks in that game. Obviously, when you have a team that's coming off of a banner celebration, getting your rings, there's part of you, and there was part of me last night where it's like, okay, I expect the Celtics to win this game, but they're probably not going to win pretty. Like it's going to probably be an ugly game. They're probably going to get off to a sluggish start. The Knicks obviously have a lot to prove. Looked at as maybe the second best team in the Eastern Conference. A top five team in the NBA. They have they're young, not young guys. They're new guys. Karl Anthony Towns will show off in that game. Jalen Brunson's obviously looking to build off a strong playoff performance last year and a strong regular season. Um, and that all went away in what, maybe the first 3 minutes of the game. Like it
It
was
was kind
just
of close though, like for a little
that was
while
that's right. It was a little
here
back
and
and forth
there.
to start, and Knicks. I think both
There
teams
was
were a little.
multiple tripping infractions.
Yes, they
Like
yep.
playing hockey, Jalen
Mm-hmm.
Brunson was upset. I saw
Jalen Brown was
multiple people
upset.
say on Jalen Brown was upset. I saw multiple people say on Twitter, the Knicks traded for Mikal Bridge Gilchrist,
Yeah, I
which
saw
was
that
pretty
was
funny.
that was a bad tweet. Yep.
I saw it. So I saw it last night, and I saw a different person do it this morning. I'm like, come on,
Mm-hmm.
guys, respect the
Yeah,
game. You definitely
exactly.
saw
Get the
that. You
original.
definitely
Yep.
stole that. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
people. Engagement means that much to you. What happened to the game I love?
I know,
When
right?
engagement wasn't the biggest thing on Twitter and people copy tweets.
Mm-hmm.
Shame, shame, shame.
But yeah, I mean, the Knicks had a lot going for them in that game. Like you said, they didn't get off to that terrible of a start, and then it was just all Celtics. I mean, the Knicks couldn't do anything. They didn't even play that badly. I think they finished the game, shot 55.1% from the field, 36.7 isn't great, but not terrible from three, and they were just still bludgeoned to death. I mean, it was everything the Celtics put up except for the final 8 minutes of the game when they just forgot how to hit a three-pointer to break that record. Like I said to you, they couldn't break that record, just canceled the season right then and there. Um, but everything going right for the Celtics in that game. Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, you could tell clearly pissed off at how this offseason went and, the slight that they got. Tatum looked the best he has in quite some, and not to say that he was bad last year, but you know what I mean? Like this looked like a new look Tatum to me. 37 points, had 15 of them in the first quarter. I think had 8 or 9 threes in that game, 10 assists. He was excellent right from the get-go, kind of took the game over right from then and there. We still haven't really seen that FU Tatum that you and I have talked about in the past. But I kind of noticed it. Obviously, Scal, who knows a lot more about basketball than you and I combined, he said it in the halftime show where watching Tatum walk into that game and kind of how he went about himself preparing for that game. He said Jason Tatum has a different look to him. It looked like that. Like it looked like Tatum right from the get-go was kind of like, screw you, I'm the best player on this court in this league, and I'm going to show you that right from the get-go. So he was excellent right from the jump. And that's the thing. Like if Tatum's going to go out there, his shot is obviously different this year. People have talked about that, not at the extent that Mikal Bridges is, because that thing's a dumpster fire. And I tweeted it out. I'm like, I feel like Knicks fans are going to hate him very quickly because of just his inability to knock down shots. But Tatum looks excellent. If you're going to get this type of play from Tatum, where he can, go for 30 plus on a night, or again, as we saw last year, take the points down, but get the assists up and the rebounds up. I don't know how you stop this team. If he's going to look as good as he did,
No.
Brown obviously as a supporting character goes for 23, and that's a, not to slight him as a supporting character, but you know what I mean. A 1A 1B type of thing. Supporting cast was good as it always is. White was excellent, 24 points. I think he had 6 threes. Holiday was good in his own sense. Al Horford was knocking down threes. Hauser had some moments off the bench. Like I just don't know how you stop this team because again, the Knicks didn't play all that bad. They shot the ball really well, and the Celtics still blew them out
points.
of the. Yeah, exactly. They put up over 100. Yeah, 100% right. And they still the game was never like you said
close.
No, the first minute and a half of the game was, because I think the Celtics were still trying to get the legs onto themselves. And then again, halfway through that first quarter, it was over, like right from the get-go. So like I said, I just, again, I don't want to get too high or too low, but if the Celtics are going to shoot
I
like
will.
this, all right, fair enough. If their star players are going to play like they did, I don't know how you stop this team unless, again, there's just injuries, which you never hope for, or they just like forget how to play basketball, because they are picking up right where they left off last year, and maybe even more so, even better than they were last year.
Yeah, they have found a form of basketball, largely, and huge credit to the depth here, where they are unstoppable. They have, like, this might have been a fake quote. Josh Hart said like these guys should be drug tested or something.
Yeah, he was obviously joking, but yeah, was asked
Yeah,
about that, and he basically was
he's
like, "I don't know what the hell
like,
we need to do." Like,
dude, they have found like a practically unstoppable form of basketball. Like there were stretches where like the Knicks were in this game relatively early on, like only a 4 or 5 point margin, like 2 point margin, 7 whatever, like, and then the Celtics just hit a switch
just the
and like
floodgates opened. Yeah,
they're up by 25. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. They can
I
do it to any team. This is the
mhm.
Knicks. The Knicks are
Yeah.
like really good now. They put up 109
The
points.
Knicks hung their
Like
hat
that
on
that
defense
wins a lot
last
of
year.
basketball games.
Yep.
Not against the Celtics this year.
No.
It's gonna take a masterful game plan to beat this team. They're
Mhm.
deep in their starting five. It's very well rounded. There's a lot to like. There's a lot of different skill sets, and their bench is still excellent. And Joe Mazzulla, at a very young age, has this team just absolutely locked in a way I've never seen a Celtics team.
No, it's really astonishing. And on the Knicks thing again, because I forgot to bring it up when I was talking about them. They mentioned it a couple times on the broadcast. Reggie Miller said it. I mean, and it was obvious when they did it, making these moves for Bridges, making these moves for Towns. Like I said, Reggie Miller pointed it out numerous times. Like the Knicks are trying to do what the Celtics did last year and bring in these prolific offensive players to try to build an offensive juggernaut that's unstoppable. And you look at it, you take a step back, and you really say, okay, teams can do that. That's fine. If the Knicks want to go out and get, an offensive big man in Karl-Anthony Towns, because in all honesty, he sucks defensively. Like Shaq and Charles Barkley were calling him out in the halftime show. Basically, there were times where he was just completely taken out of plays by Drew Holiday, and nothing against Drew Holiday, because obviously he's a great defender. We know that. But like, you're Karl-Anthony Towns, and this is what Shaq and Charles and Chuck were saying. Like, you should be demanding the ball when you're 7 feet tall and you have a point guard on you in the paint. Like, that shouldn't ever be a contest. But Karl-Anthony Towns, for whatever reason, just doesn't ever want the ball down low. Back on the original point, like, yeah, you can get all these offensive guys. That's great. There is no team in the NBA that has 5 players in their starting lineup. And if you even want to go deeper into the bench, that can defend like the Celtics can defend. And that's what makes them different from everybody else is, yeah, they can come out and bludgeon you and score 130 plus points. But we saw it numerous times last year, and that's how basically they won the finals last year. They can also suffocate the crap out of you with all 5 of their starters, 6 if you want to include Horford when Porzingis comes back. And that's why, again, like you say, they're going to be a juggernaut. They're going to be unstoppable because, yeah, you could maybe go toe-to-toe with them offensively, but if, like you said, they flip a switch and shut you down on defense, there's no team that can do that on the other side of the ball. Like
No, there isn't.
maybe OKC if some of their young guys start to pop. I don't know, what the rest of Minnesota's starting 5 looks like. We know what Anthony Edwards brings to the table on the defensive end as a two-way player, but there isn't a team that's even close. Again, the Knicks obviously have some work to do. Again, not a bad team by any means. We both agreed from last week's prediction show is I think we both have them as the 2 seed, for the season
Yeah.
and going to make a deep playoff run. But they're nowhere close right now, and that was the biggest thing too. Is the Celtics? I think, and a lot of people have said this today. They set a tone right from the get go last night. If there was anybody that thought last year was a fluke or that they were going to come out maybe unfocused, like you said, how focused they were coming into the game, and that's a kudos to credit to Joe Mazzulla. There was none of that last night. There wasn't a single lapse in judgment again until the final 8 minutes of the game when they couldn't hit a 3 to save their lives because obviously you could tell the pressure was on them. But that was a big thing. And again, props to Joe Mazzulla for having them ready to go for this game. Not that we didn't think he would, but that's the thing. Like, there's no lack of focus this year, it seems like, or have been in a while. They're ready to go. They know what the moment needs to, have from them. And again, that's why, again, you'll do it. I don't want to. It sounds like I am. Don't want to overreact over one game, but like it's just so glaring and jarring how this game went down.
There's also just the sample size of last year. Like they have
True. Yep.
essentially the same team. They have
That's
the
the big
same
thing
coach.
too. And
Like
Yep.
the formula is there. We got Joe Mazzulla already talking about the core tasting like he wished it tasted like blood.
Psycho
Like
Missoula-isms are back. Like basketball's back.
yeah, he
Get
just
excited.
like sure like of course I'm sure some of the players hear some of these things he says like oh like haha like I get what he's saying but, like that's kind of goofy but like dude like how do you not play for a guy like this like and
Right?
they constantly do and they ran through like stretches of the playoffs like long stretches of the playoffs just dominating like they just have basketball figured out there's not a team even close to them.
No, it's not. Like again,
It's
if you want to
crazy.
argue,
It's borderline incomprehensible, but it is comprehensible because we saw it so much last year. But like it
yep.
still blows your mind. That's the incomprehensible nature of it. Like it's
Yeah, and that's
crazy.
the thing. Like we said, like again, the Knicks were looked at as the team, at least out of the Eastern Conference, that were probably the closest to the Celtics. I mean, you're obviously, and that's the other thing too. I was going to bring up if there's anybody, that maybe wants to see, like, oh, maybe this team can make a run. You're already starting to see teams fall apart. Like Philadelphia, fucking Embiid and Paul George both aren't playing to start the year. We talked about it last week that Embiid already came out and said I'm not playing back-to-back games this year, which like that's a joke. If you're a superstar NBA player, you can't play
Wait, back to
back-to-back
back
games.
games like games on back to back nights or
Yep, he's sitting out
consecutive games.
sitting out the second nights of
I was
back-to-backs.
like, wait a minute. He's gonna play 41 games this year or
No,
40
he's
games.
that half
I
the
was like,
season. No,
whoa.
I
I need clarification here.
wouldn't put it past Joel Embiid, but yeah, I mean he's already given up on back to
Yeah.
backs this year. Again, him and George aren't ready to go to start the year. So Philadelphia is going to crumble. Milwaukee, obviously good team on paper, but getting older. So there isn't a team right now. Again, that's what was so alarming about last night's game was the team that was looked at as the closest to them didn't have a bad game by any means. The Knicks the Knicks have a lot of players on that team that to get excited about. Wasn't even a contest right from the get-go, was not even close. And again, like you could say maybe it was because of how the game ended and then the Knicks were able to get a couple late, and able to knock down some threes late. It was never close. They were never in it. Like they did not stand a chance. The other thing about the Celtics too, I really wanted to touch on and get your thoughts on because I'm sure there are people that are going to complain about it. The 61 3-point attempts last night. Again, people want to overreact about the amount of threes that are being taken. To me, I don't care. There's two ways I look at it. If they're hitting them, who gives a crap? If they're going in,
it's part of the bludgeoning process.
It's part of the bludgeoning process. Perfectly said. The other part of me too is again how quickly people forget how many games did they win last year in different ways. Like we know they can beat you with 61 3-point attempts and knock down half of them, or they can go into the paint and beat you down low and bludgeon you that way. Like they're gonna win games in multiple different ways. You don't think when Porzingis comes back they're gonna focus more on an inside game? Like they didn't have to do it obviously last night because all the threes were hitting. So like for the handful of people I saw that were like, oh, 61 threes, like what are we doing here? Like who cares? Again, like you said, if it's working, continue the bludgeoning. Perfectly fine with it. And on the flip side of it, like wouldn't surprise me if they play Washington. They're playing Washington tomorrow night. Wouldn't surprise me if Tatum and Brown attack the basket all night long because the I almost said the Commanders. The Wizards have nothing to protect the rim. Like they're not a good team. We know that. So would not surprise me if the Celtics make or there's also the Joe Mazzulla is a psycho factor. Could just say, flip a coin. Either tonight if it's heads, we're gonna come out and beat people with threes, or if it's tails, we're gonna come out and just beat people with 60 points in the paint.
They just won like 145-70.
Yeah, exactly. Like again, one game in, but it's gonna sound super corny.
We
but
have the blueprint. Like it's different when you have the blueprint.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that crazy to say.
You have the script. You know how it's gonna go down. Like
right.
It's really something. Again, like
the non-Boston fans probably just hate listening.
Oh, they
to
hate
this,
it.
But like,
yep.
Can you blame us? Like, would you if
it was your team?
You might think we're assholes a little more so if you don't watch the Celtics. Maybe even if you do. But like the blueprint is here.
Oh, absolutely.
Good Lord.
It really is. Like I said, last night was quite the eye-opening experience, and that's saying something for a team as good as they were last year. Like to see them put that type of performance out there, it's like holy crap.
What are their odds against the Wizards? Like minus 2,500 to win, minus 4,000 to win.
Well, I said that to my dad last night watching the game. I'm like, because I think they opened at what -5.5 was the line. I'm like, at what point against the Knicks? Yep.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Wizards. I was like, oh my
God.
No.
Against the Knicks last night, the Celtics opened up as -1.5 point favorites. But I said it to my dad. I'm like, at what point do betting sites get smart and start putting the Celtics at like 12.5 point favorites just against everybody. Because like again, there isn't anybody in this league that I feel like can match. Like they'll have all their off nights. Don't get me wrong. So they're gonna not be blowing everybody out every night. But like again, you hit threes at this rate. Jason Tatum looks like he did last night. Like he wants to go out there and prove everybody wrong and go on an FU tour and win MVP. Jaylen Brown looks just as good as he did last year. He looked a little too amped up at the start of the game. There were some shots he was taking where you could clearly tell, like, all right, he's a little too jazzed up, but found himself. He even talked about it. He was emotional at the start of the game, seeing all the celebrities, but you know what I mean, all the Celtics legends and stuff there. But yeah, just an awesome experience. We really didn't touch on it. Any thoughts on the banner raising, or because people have talked about how crazy the rings look today? Like, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was cool. It just would have been cool if I could have watched it on TV because they cut to a Wingstop.
Yeah, they cut away from it. Yep.
During it. Also, Aaron Baines retired. They're gonna win one for Aaron Baines. That's the motivation of the locker room.
Season dedicated to Aaron Baines.
It's probably on the whiteboard. Yeah, the Aaron Baines should get a ring. Honestly.
Picture stapled up on the whiteboard of Aaron Baines in Celtics uniform. Gotcha.
Oh, the man! What a legend. Yeah, like it was cool. I just didn't really get to see it, so
I know, right?
I saw everything before it.
Got away at the worst possible time.
The video of like it was like they showed on the jumbotron like how everybody got there, which was really cool. I may or may not have sent it to you. It was like some draft footage from Tatum and Brown, like the announcements of Holiday, Pritchard, or Holiday and White trades, like everybody with their jersey when they came to like Celtics with the press conference. I was like, I'll send it to you. I'll send you the video. It was like really cool video, like how all the main guys like got there. So yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, yeah, I missed the actual raising on TV. I had to watch it on Twitter,
I know, right? That's the one knock.
Wingstop in the NBA and TNT,
right?
And
you get to see the same stupid Wingstop commercial over and over again.
At least it wasn't DraftKings and fucking Kevin Hart and LeBron James.
On LeBron,
made me actually angry. So
I can take that over the Wingstop no flex zone scene that they play that every other commercial. It seems like
another one or a different version of the one where like Kevin Hart like breaks something and like LeBron James like picks him up and throws him like 40 yards. Like, God.
Well, he's got one now with Shaq and is it Lisa Leslie? I think. There's one they played that one a couple of times last night where it's like, all right, like you've played this 4 or 5 times, like enough.
I'd rather see that one.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Very sick of
the LeBron one's gotten old. LeBron he made history last night.
Companies just know they're annoying. Like companies just know that their commercials suck, and they just like know people will talk about them. So I'm helping them right now.
Absolutely, we're feeding into the problem. I really didn't have anything else on the ceremony. I did like how it didn't drag on. It feels like for too long. I mean, Wick had his little speech that he did. Tatum I thought was great with obviously the cliche of let's get another one. But like he didn't go. I remember I think Scal was talking about it on the post game show that we probably don't remember. I definitely did, and I had to go look it up. But back when they won in 08, Paul Pierce went on this like 10-minute fucking tangent, just thanking everybody and their mother, which took way too long. So everyone's like, thank God Tatum only lasted like 30 seconds. So that was good to see. The rings are insane. Like I've seen some people kind of. Joe Mazzulla was one of them, basically being like, "I'm never gonna wear this, so like I don't this thing."
Yeah, what was the rest of his quote?
I can't remember what it was, but he's right though. Like if you look at the rings are cool looking, but this is something that a lot of people I've heard have talked about today, and I kind of don't disagree with the point that like the rings are a little too crazy. Like I feel like you would wanna, if you're an NBA champion, just any championship, you want to be able to actually wear the thing out in public and show it off. But like these things are.
He said, like this thing's too big. Why is it so big? I'm never
legit.
Gonna wear it.
Well, Horford apparently, I didn't know he got his. I heard they were talking about on the radio today. I think Zolak and Bertrand brought it up that apparently Horford had his ring finger was dislocated when he did the measuring for it. So there's a video of Horford when he was mic'd up last night talking to I think it's Cornette, or no, it might have been Derek White. After he gets it and he's like, dude, this thing's way too big. Like I definitely got the measurements all wrong. It just slides right off. So like. They got a couple of problems there with some Celtics players and coaches with the rings.
Gets his ring. That was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the best moment of it all. Seeing Al get his ring. That was awesome. So
for sure. Yep, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, again, 1 game in, so not too much to talk about when it comes to it. More so, again, the banner stuff and hoping for another great year. And why wouldn't you with how this team has looked and the start they have gotten off to?
Yes. Excellent. World Series, Dodgers, Yankees. I think this is like the 12th time they've played in the World Series, something like that.
Surprise me.
Like 14th.
Mhm.
First time with Shohei Ohtani, his first time trying to win a World Series.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Where are you at?
that's
What
gonna
are
be
your
cool.
thoughts?
Like when they beat the Yankees, it's gonna be cool to see
Very
Ohtani
confident.
win a.
Okay.
Yeah,
What makes you so confident in this Dodgers
I
team?
need I need to keep this up, honestly, with the I'll believe it till I see it thing with the Yankees. And they're the
Okay.
Dodgers. Like, it's two storybook. Otani's amazing season, all this money they've spent across the board outside of Otani's 700 million. Um, they're gonna do it. Like, it's two storybook. That's my analysis.
Mhm.
It's storybook. The Yankees haven't done it since 2009. Um, the Dodgers are averaging just over a half a run more a game. I think that's a huge thing.
Mhm.
And they just have more star power. Like, I think star power is going to mean something here.
Yep.
Um, it's going to suck when the Yankees lose. I'm really going to hate it, but it's two storybook. Like, I'm not going to act like I've watched a ton of the postseason. 'Cause I haven't, and I think this is just the storybook season for the Dodgers under Otani. Otani's rule essentially, because he essentially rules the city of LA now.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, on the flip side, it's the same
yeah,
thing
it's
for
two
with
storybook.
Judge
He
in New York.
lives.
Like,
Yep.
not to take away from him, but yeah, I mean,
Good
it's
God, man.
it's definitely. I mean, I don't know how much baseball purists, whatever you want to call them, like this matchup because I'm sure there are people out there that it's like, oh, it's the two teams that spend the most money, like that's bad for whatever. There's
That's
part of
why you
me
spend money.
exactly. That's the angle that I'm coming at this World Series from is it won't happen because this just you saw it with the Red Sox and their first big offseason hire is a fucking analytical dork from the
New
Rays.
bloom.
Yeah, exactly, the new bloom. Um but
People
there is
love this
part of
guy,
me
though. We'll see.
yeah, I mean that's where baseball is. Everyone likes the nerd more so than the actual player
Yep.
that you get.
We'll
No,
see.
but that's where I'm coming from in this world. Like I hope there's part of me that hopes this World Series with the two highest spending teams in baseball, we start to get back to that. Teams actually spending to everyone talks about like, oh, you bought a World Series. Who cares at that point?
Yeah,
Like I know people
The Celtics bought a fucking NBA
it's
championship.
what you
Like, who
do.
cares?
Unless you're the Warriors who are great at drafting and
They've
developing
almost
people.
$1 billion on the books. The
Exactly.
Celtics,
Like
like, over the
baseball,
course of these
especially on the flip
contracts.
side of it, you look at it like, okay, how name the last team that drafted and developed a World Series winner, or like didn't did it more so that way. Like you could maybe say the Royals way back in the day, but most of these teams, it's a mix. In this case, I feel like more so the Yankees and the Dodgers because obviously the Dodgers went out and spent more on players outside their organization. But that part of me is hoping for that the MLB and teams, or bigger market teams realize that, the two highest spending teams are the two teams that are in the World Series right now. Maybe we have to get back to that. And there's part of me that hopes the Red Sox operate that way. But then, like I just said, on the flip side, their first offseason move was to hire some Yale nerd or wherever the hell the guy's from, or went to school. So not a great start there. But it is an interesting World Series. You have the Dodgers who have basically just bludgeoned everyone to death through the playoffs so far. And one of the better all around, offensive teams, 20 home runs, 66 RBIs, 93 hits, all their offensive stats pretty much lead all the teams that were in the playoffs. On the flip side, the Yankees have been one of the better pitching teams. They have shut teams down. So something's going to have to move this World Series. Either the Dodgers offense gets shut down or the Yankees, their offense gets, an uptick and they play well. I'm with you. Plenty of stars in this series. Otani's been great in these playoffs. Judge really hasn't had his signature moment yet. It's been more the other guys. Juan Soto's been as advertised. Giancarlo Stanton has kind of come back from the grave. He's had an excellent playoff. You hope Mookie Betts can kind of right his, he's not the biggest World Series performer as we know from his days with the Red Sox, but he's had some moments here and there. You hope Freddie Freeman's healthy. He's been kind of banged up. Obviously, you know what he can do in the playoffs. So there's plenty of star power here. I'm also kind of taking it from a what's the word I'm looking for? Experience angle of it. Like the Dodgers to me have the more experience. Obviously, the Yankees have Anthony Rizzo, won it with the Cubs, of course, so he kind of knows what it takes to win a World Series. Juan Soto won one with the Nationals, of course. Other than
Did
that, like
Ryan
I can't.
Brazier win one with the Red Sox?
He did, yeah, but that's on the Dodgers side. So there you go. Dodgers have experience there. I can't remember if Verdugo was on that Dodgers team in 2018 that lost to the Red Sox, but like at least he's been to a World
He
Series. He kind
must
of
have
knows
been,
what.
right?
I think so. It might have been his rookie year, first
Yeah.
or second year in the league. But after that, like unless I'm missing something, I don't think the Yankees have one pitcher that's been on a World Series team on their roster. Like Garrett Cole definitely hasn't been. Carlos Rodon hasn't been. None of their bullpen guys, I don't think. Maybe Canely if he was on another team,
He was
earlier
on
in his career.
The White Jackets,
White
the White
Jackets.
Sox. Oh my God, the fuck.
Yeah, but Canely's bounced around, so I don't know.
Leave. Okay,
That's all right. You combine White
um,
Sox, Blue Jackets. Any other teams that I'm thinking of that we're missing?
maybe I was deep down thinking of a certain B variety and was thinking of Yellow Jackets. I don't
Maybe,
know.
but I mean, yeah, the Dodgers have way
Maybe
more.
just
Like, I think,
Jackets.
yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
But on that point, Evan Phillips, he's been there before. Walker Buehler obviously has pitched well, and we saw him against the Red Sox in 2018 pitch very well. I think he started that 18-inning game, if I remember correctly. It was either him or Rich Hill. Chris Taylor's been there before. Austin Barnes. Trying to think of it, like Max Muncy. So Kike Hernandez obviously knows what it takes to get to the World Series and win one. So the Dodgers have the expertise over the Yankees in that sense. But again, it comes down to obviously which offenses and which pitching is going to step up. I lean more towards the Dodgers. I think they have the better all-around talents. Obviously, the Yankees have a more intact pitching staff right now because the Dodgers are using a lot of rookies right now and a lot of, guys you really haven't heard of, like is it Ben Casparius? Never heard of him. Edgardo Hernandez or Enriquez, excuse me. Like guys who have pitched well in the playoffs, but you don't really know their names. The Yankees obviously have more guys that have stepped up. But to me, I think it's gonna come down to the two stars. It's either it's gonna be Shohei or Judge that carries their team, and I'm with you. I'm leaning more towards Shohei right now. He's been one of the best hitters with guys on base. I think at one point in the playoffs, he was hitting like 800 with guys on base, with 0 with nobody on base. So that's obviously huge. Like I said, Judge really hasn't had his big moment yet. You hope he's not saving it for the World Series. But in the end, for me, I got the Dodgers over the Yankees in 6. Part of that's because I can't pick the Yankees to win the World Series. Just can't do it. And the other part of me is I just think the Dodgers are the all-around better team. And I think have been, more consistent through these. Obviously, have played more games, of course, than the Yankees have, but have been the more, offensively consistent team. And I think that's what's going to reign true in this World Series in the end.
Me too. Dodgers over Yankees in 6 is my pick as well.
Okay.
Won't pick the Yankees. Can't pick the Yankees, and
can't do it.
Long said this season that this is the storybook that the Dodgers win the World Series in their first year with Shohei Ohtani and the bunch. Of course, they had Kopech, they had Flaherty. It's not like they just rode with their bunch. They got Blake Treinen a few years ago, who's good. Ryan Brazier became good for them. I don't know how he's been in the postseason, but it would just be funny if he is like a huge relief appearance that wins them a huge game. And yeah, they're built for it and they're gonna win. So
let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Baseball with Mike.
There you go.
That's how it works around here.
Oh, you had Dodgers over Orioles day 1 too, didn't you?
Yes, Dodgers over
there you
Orioles.
go. You've been on it since day 1.
On it. I will stay consistent with the Dodgers. Any closing thoughts, Ryan?
Not that I can think of. Just obviously go Dodgers. Hope the Bruins can right the ship and the Celtics can continue to bludgeon people. Got a pretty easy task against Washington coming up tomorrow night. Patriots, who knows what to expect from them.
Shrug. Thank you so much for listening, new and old listeners. We appreciate you. You can find us on Twitter at Mike_Cratty, at Ryan_Salvaggio on the show, at Salvaggio and Cratty Pod. Find us on TikTok, throw Salvaggio and Cratty into the search bar there. Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, Podbean, Podchaser, follow, review, all that good stuff. We'll see you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, be nice to people, all that good stuff. We will talk to you then. Peace out.